All right, everybody, here we go. Today is Monday, June 15th, 2026. My name is Rob Carter. Welcome to the future. Number one radio slash podcast in America. What's going on, Isaiah? How do we look?
Good morning. Looking good.
We have a new studio in St. Louis. We're still looking for a set studio, but we're doing the best we can with what we got. I'm looking forward to a great day today. Beautiful weather outside. We have a lot to talk about. We're finally back up. We missed a couple days. You were doing alderman duties, so we'll let everybody start to get in. Always remember when we start the show, it's wonderful if you would like and share so that we can spread the message. More people are starting to talk about the message, though, Isaiah. I gotta be honest. The good things are starting to happen. We're not the only ones out there that are singing the song about what's going on with Israel, what's going on with our government, what's going on with the open borders, what's going on with the fake media, what's going on with all these things. And what we try to do every day is explain it to everybody, walk you through it so there's no doubt. Now, we're making the case that there is no doubt as to what's going on. You can live a wonderful life, but you have to know what's going on. And that's what we try to do is bring you the information so that you can argue with your friends, maybe convince them. Some people say there are people in the world that you cannot convince. Isaiah had friends talking to me yesterday. They said, there's certain people. They always say boomers. I don't think boomers are, people that can't think. I just think that they've been conditioned a little bit harder than everybody else. And it's time to bring them into the new world and have them converse with us. Is that fair, Isaiah? Just to talk to us and have a conversation so we can say, wait a minute, did you think about this? Did you see this? Have you considered this? If we can do that, all of a sudden we can create enough pressure on our government to put them back in line with the Constitution. Because right now, in the state of Missouri and around the world, they do not care about the Constitution. There's a guy that puts out little videos. It's called the 10th Amendment Center. Have you seen these, Isaiah?
Huh?
I said, you're putting in all the clips, aren't you?
What's up? Yeah. Sorry, I'm not paying attention. I texted you earlier that I don't have the clips ready because you needed help with the.
No worries. We'll slow it down. But I was saying, have you seen this guy, the 10th Amendment Center? Have you seen?
I have not. I won't be able to talk. I'm going to go off camera. Actually, I need to finish these.
All right, put those out, and then I'll kind of set it up for you. So this guy that does the 10th Amendment Center, he puts all kinds of clips and audio videos where he talks about the Constitution and how the Constitution is nobody's aligning with the Constitution anymore. Very scary situation when you don't align with the Constitution. And he explains, and we'll play these clips once Isaiah gets it put up very quickly. As we were getting ready for the show, Isaiah's internet went down. So, it just is what it is. So he's putting the clips in so we can kind of walk through everything that we're talking about. But he lays out all of the different things that are going on in this country where we're not aligned with the Constitution anymore. And the Constitution is, as he puts it, it is our guide to make sure the government is in line. We assume the government's going to get out of control. We assume the government is going to be oppressive. We assume the government's going to spend your money until you have no more. That's what governments have done throughout time. The 10th Amendment Center puts out videos that shows you what you're supposed to be doing as a citizen. And listen, I love this country. I love it so much. I think we are still the freest country in the world. At least we get to say the things that we need to say. We have some free speech. It's not what it should be. The government has suppressed it. Freedom of reach, not free. Well, how's it go? Not freedom of reach. That's what you don't have. You don't have freedom of reach. So we'll have Dr. Shiva on the show within the next couple of weeks. We're dealing with him to get Dr. Shiva back on the show. And he is somebody that had millions of followers on social media. When he puts a post out right now, he gets maybe 500 to 1,000 views of his posts. And what does Dr. Shiva talk about? What's the most important thing to Dr. Shiva if you know anything about him? And he told me this years ago. He said the biggest problem we face in America right now is Zionism, and Zionist ideology runs the show. So he's telling you that Zionist ideology runs the show, and they suppress him down to nothing. He can't get a message out. I said, Dr. Shiva, I'd like to have you on. He said, Rob, he goes, we need to strategize because I know you're on the same page with me. We need to strategize. And it's so obvious right now that it's a little bit spooky that so many people are not paying attention to it. Very disturbing when it's so obvious. It's just so obvious. I don't even know what to say. You can see it all around you and nobody's doing anything about it. So today on the show, we're going to talk about primarily focus on FISA. The FISA 702 warrantless searches are something that people have to pay attention to. Now, Mike Johnson, who I think is a bad guy. I think Mike Johnson is either compromised, not very bright, or making some money somewhere. I don't know what's going on with Speaker Mike Johnson, but an absolute charlatan is Mike Johnson. I'll prove that to you again today with his own words, with words from his own party, with a backdrop of Charlie Kirk, Thomas Massey. You'll get to see it all for yourselves. The Speaker of the House in the federal government, Mike Johnson, is a flat out lying charlatan. And I kind of sensed that was going on when they voted for him for Speaker of the House. When it was unanimous, I said, wait a minute. You got a criminal organization that is voting unanimously for Mike Johnson? How does that make any sense? And then remember, the first thing on Mike Johnson's mind when he was gavelled in as the Speaker of the House was to fund money for Israel. And as Dr. Shiva, who I mentioned earlier, as he says, Zionists come from everywhere. It's not Jews that are Zionists. Zionists come from every walk of life. It's a political ideology of power and control. And we'll get to it here in just a bit. But I want to talk about the FISA 702 warrants for just a minute. The FISA 702 warrants, this is where the federal government, unconstitutionally, in my estimation, and I think everybody who can think their estimation, FISA 702 warrants allow for the federal government to spy on American citizens without a warrant. It's been going on for years and years and years. Donald Trump fought against it, became the president, said they used it against him to frame him with Russian collusion, and now he's fighting for it, along with Mike Johnson. And who's fighting against it? You might guess our good friend Thomas Massey. And we have to pay attention to these things, despite whether you want to just put your head in the sand, whether you don't think these things are really happening. If you think the weather's outside, it's summertime, it's great. You had the UFC fights at the White House last night. Let's rock and roll. Let's have a good time. You still have to pay attention to the things that are going on behind the scenes. We are in a war of the mind right now, and too many people don't understand it. And I don't know how many people need to understand it to make the changes. I really don't. But I like to, I always describe it like this. If you're in the car with the radio on, you got your smoking hot wife or girlfriend beside you. It's a beautiful day outside. You're driving along the highway, beautiful day, and everybody on the sides are going, stop, stop. There's a cliff over there. You're going to drive off a cliff. You're like, what? You got the radio on. You're like, don't ruin my day. I'm having a great day. I'm here with my smoking hot wife. I got the radio running. Beautiful day outside, top down, nice car. The whole thing's rocking and rolling, and you're feeling good about yourself, but you're running off a cliff. And that is what's happening here in America. It's not if it is happening. It is happening. It's just a matter of, can the people stop it before the government takes complete control? Because the government is either infiltrated by outside sources, it's either infiltrated, or they're complicit in just taking away your freedoms. I'm at my son's house today. I'm driving in, and as I'm driving into this subdivision, I see a big flock camera sitting right there. And I said to my son, I said, you have flock cameras on your street. He goes, really, where? I said, right around the corner from your street, you got this big camera right in front of somebody's house. We drive down there, and he goes, this thing right here? And I said, yeah. I go, look at that. Big spy camera right in his neighborhood. Now, do you think that we're going to solve crime by putting a camera on the streets that reads your license plates and stores license plates of everybody that drives into his subdivision? Do you think that that's what we need? Do you think 24-hour surveillance is what America needs to be safe?
Of course we'll solve crime, but is that what we need to solve crime? Right? It's
unbelievable, Isaiah. I can't get over it.
What other crimes will they create to implicate people?
Right.
And as we've talked about and seen, and we've already shown and laid it out many times, it's indisputable that these cameras and these systems are being used for nefarious use cases, like officers who are tracking their ex-girlfriends, right?
It's already been done.
Or the VPs of, I don't know if everyone knows this, but some vice presidents of the Flock Safety Company have been found to accessing cameras that are pointed at little kids' gymnastic centers so that they can watch inside those gymnastic centers. And so,
great for pedophiles. We don't have a problem with pedophiles in this country, do we?
Oh yeah, I know, right?
You know, the only person I know
Epstein files came and went too quick.
Exactly. You know, the only administration that I know is not involved in pedophilia for sure, 100%, is the Trump administration. No way. No way. I mean, sure. I mean, look.
Wait, what about Howard Lutnick?
I was no.
He's good. He's good.
He's the Commerce Secretary, and he had a home adjacent to Jeffrey Epstein, and he lied about it and said he only met him one time, and he was gross, if you remember Howard Lutnick, and then we found out that he was driving his yacht around and looking to have lunch with him and his family at Jeffrey Epstein's island. But just ignore all that. Ignore the fact that Donald Trump and Dan Bongino and Kash Patel talked about Jeffrey Epstein for what seemed like forever, and then they got into positions of power, and if you question them about the Jeffrey Epstein case, they said it was all a Democrat hoax and you were all liars, and even to question their integrity made you a conspiracy theorist. This is what's going on, and nobody even pays attention. We were at a friend of mine's, my son. I coached baseball growing up. My son, that's a 10-year-old swing right behind me. If you can see that right there. My son wanted to put that in the picture. He goes, "Hey, can you put this picture right here?" I said, put that picture up. And so one of the kids that he played baseball with is a race car driver, a professional race car driver. We were at his home last night, and they're watching the UFC fights. Right, so we're watching the UFC fights. They're Donald Trump supporters, and I don't want to get into political conversations with my son's good friends and his family, who I'm very close with. They have no idea what's going on because they don't pay attention to this stuff. They're racing. They're keeping their head above water. They're trying to do business and trying to create entertainment for people. So they get their information from the Fox Newses of the world because they're conservative people. And this is what they think is really going on in the country. I think it's incredibly destructive, Fox News and the whole thing. We've talked about that endlessly. I don't want to get into it today. What I do want to talk about today, and I'm going to start with our 702 FISA warrants. And remember, like and share, like and share, like and share. Please, 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 pretty please, like and share. It allows us to get a further reach. It allows us to get more information out there. Just better for everybody if we can get
let's use a great example of how this works is the whole Thomas Massey story that we were involved in, right?
Oh, tell them how that went, by the way.
Yeah, so I'm sure everyone's seen. I mean, if you haven't seen it, and I don't know where you must be living under a rock or something, because it's been on every social media network or platform out there that most people follow, except for the mainstream media, of course, right? But we went last week, if you didn't know, we were meeting with Thomas Massey and the USS Liberty survivors, and we were able to get some exclusive footage. Rob and I were able to get in there, and we were the only people with access to this meeting with Thomas Massey and the USS Liberty survivors. And so we have all this footage. I had hours, about hour and a half to 2 hours of footage. And I went and we cut up some clips. We put them out there, and some large accounts picked it up and just started sharing it. And when they started sharing it, other people started liking it, and other people started sharing it. And then people started making their own clips from it and started sharing it on their platforms. And now we probably have, conservatively, Rob, about 50 million views probably on all that content. I would venture to guess it's probably closer to 100 million views on the content between our platforms and then other people that have taken it and repurposed the content on their own platforms for different uses. I continue to find videos that have multiple hundreds of thousands and millions of views.
You do.
People. And I have, I think over a million. I have over 1 million views in the last 7 days from just those videos that I put out. And so that's just my account. And I have 2,000 followers.
Exactly. That's what I was getting ready to say. You know what's crazy about this is just, our little show starting to get off the ground. We did radio for a bit, so there's there's a knowledge of who we are. But small show, just getting ready to get rolling. We're putting money into the show. We're getting donations and getting advertisers, and we're beginning to spread the message. But in what have we been? This is our 40th show, 41st show. What is this, Isaiah?
It's because we stay lean. We
stay lean. Yeah. But our show, because we understand what's really going on in the world, Isaiah and I tried to make relationships with the USS Liberty survivors. We thought this was the biggest untold story in the history of the world.
Yeah.
The USS Liberty survivor story. You're talking about an ally of the most powerful nation in the world that bombed us intentionally, according to these 80-year-old men who want no money. They want no compensation. They said that over and over when we met with them. They said, Rob, we're not looking for money. We're not looking for anything. We're looking for the truth to be told because we're military members. We care about our country. And here we are aligning with Zionist nut jobs who are basically controlling all of the political the legislation, everything. The political conversation is being led by Zionists. And Zionism, for my friends and family, when I started talking about it, they said, Rob, that just means Israel has the right to exist. I said, I really don't understand it. Dr. Shiva told me.
What does right to exist mean, though? That's what Tucker did a good job of asking.
What did Tucker say? Because I listened to a little
He
bit.
asked, he said, in their interview, do you believe Israel has a right to exist? And he's like, a right to exist. And some people look at that. I mean, if you are getting defensive in that kind of question, a lot of people say, "Oh, what do you mean? Don't you understand what that means?" And it's like, no, do you understand what you're asking? And that's what he's asking, because I don't think you understand what you're asking. No country has a right to exist. They exist because of colonialism. But we exist
Mhm.
because we conquered this area. There was people here before that we conquered, and now we rule this area. And we're the United States Empire, and same with the UK, same with Canada, Mexico, all these people, Israel, right? The reason Israel exists is because they were founded as a nation. They were attacked and they defended themselves, and now they're able to defend their borders. And now it's a little different when we're sending them a bunch of military aid, right? But it was definitely different back then, where they defended themselves and created the state just like any other country. That doesn't mean they have a right to exist. Does the United States have a right to exist? No, we exist. That's just a being statement, not a right statement.
And Isaiah, is it not? It's funny because I want to talk about Missouri politics as much as I can. I'm somebody who believes in Missouri politics. I live in Florida. I want to expose what's going on in the political system at the state level because I think you can change things at the state level. But what you see are laws being implemented that support Israel over the people of Missouri, over the people of this country, over the people of Florida, over the people of all of our states, and nobody is even questioning it. It seems within the Republican Party. I always thought the Republican Party was a party I could rely upon to see problems before they started up, help us out. When you brought it to their attention, they were going to make law, make legislation, make noise. Nothing. The Republican Party in the state of Missouri and the Republican Party in D.C. is complicit. So when people say, Rob, if you say this or you say that, the Democrats are going to take over. And I always say, well, listen, you think there's a Democrat and Republican Party. I don't. Still free to have an opinion, Isaiah?
Yeah,
That's
what Thomas Massey told us.
That's what Thomas Massey told us. That's what anybody who's paying attention can recognize. It's just that we're so tribal in nature because of the conditioning that we don't see it. Let me start with 702 because there's so many things I want to talk about. We've been off for a couple days getting my sea legs underneath me, but I want to start with 702 FISA warrants. People have to understand what is going on here. We have a Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment guarantees that citizens have a right to privacy if they take care of their Constitution. If they make our government only pass constitutional laws, then we're using the Constitution properly. We don't even know what the Constitution is anymore. This country doesn't teach the Constitution to our kids. We don't have any idea what's going on with the Constitution. You have people 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, and 20 who do not even understand what their constitutional rights are. And if you don't protect your constitutional rights, all governments will take them away from you. All governments. I was in a back and forth with a Republican on social media, a state Republican, somebody that I consider friendly. And he said, Rob, he was talking about the Constitution. And I said, well, wait a minute. And talking about the courts. And he said, this is precedent. And I said, I know, but precedent from corrupt courts only gives the government the ability to be more corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't even see that system. If I'm the one that appoints the judges at the federal level, and then the federal judges on the Supreme Court who were put there by the secret societies of the world, all from Harvard and Yale, 8 of the 9 from Harvard and Yale. That's where the secret societies come from. I think we've covered that multiple times. They make decisions. They set precedent that is unconstitutional. They just give you they thread the needle with some unconstitutional law that they now make constitutional.
Don't they believe that the Democrats do that?
Yes.
That's what they believe, that the Democrats do that, right?
Exactly. And then they set the precedent. And then now all of a sudden we have unconstitutional law that is now constitutional because people within secret societies have taken our Constitution, wiped their ass with it, and now it's unconstitutional. But they have everybody convinced it was precedent. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It's so fraudulent and so ridiculous and so amazing that our country has wandered so far from the Constitution. It boggles the absolute mind. I can't take it. Anyway, let me start here. Let's get clip number 1 so I can start this out. I'm going to walk everybody through this. I ask everyone that if you understand this, that you go back and you pay attention to it, that when you're sitting with people who don't understand, that might be inclined to pay attention to politics in this crazy world that we live in, and walk them through this and just sit back. Don't try to convince them. Don't try to pound this into their head. Just ask them questions. What do you think of this? Do you care about does the Constitution matter to you? Is that something you think is irrelevant nowadays? What do you think about the Constitution? Do you think we should pay attention to that? Do you think everything is on cruise control? Do you think all nations survive forever when their people don't pay attention to their government? How do you perceive it? And just let them answer, because they'll talk themselves into the right answer if you allow it. If you don't, if you push, what I've started to notice, Isaiah, when you push people in the right direction, they don't want to go there. It's not comfortable for them. They want to argue with them. They never use logic ever. They can't. They can't use logic. So they just want to give you an emotion, or there's nothing we can do about it. How many times, Isaiah, have you heard there's nothing we can do about it? Come on, Rob. I mean, what are we going to do? There's nothing we can do about it. Even Thomas Massey said that to me when I said we're building a surveillance
mass non-compliance.
What do you think about it? He said, yeah, he said mass non-compliance. I said, what do we do about the surveillance state, the flock cameras, the AI data centers, the 702 FISA warrants, the kill switches on our cars? What do we do about an obvious surveillance state that's being built in this country? And he said, thought about it for a second. He goes, mass non-compliance. And then he waited just a second later and he goes, and I don't even know if that'll work. Right? He said, because the AI data center lobby is winning the day in Washington, D.C. And he said they're overrunning the city councils. We see it in Missouri. You see it in Florida. The same thing's going on in all 50 states. We are allowing corporate money to buy off our Constitution and buy off our civil liberties. Just a fact. Wait, that's a fact, Isaiah.
That's the fact.
I will tell you.
That's a fact, Jack.
Okay,
I will tell you that at the because where I was, just so everyone knows, I was at a newly elected officials conference right after we got back from DC. I went to Columbia, Missouri, to a newly elected officials conference for all the newly elected municipal officials in the state of Missouri. I was texting you and Act for Missouri. I don't know if you saw that, Rob, but they were talking about the Hancock Amendment there. They were talking about data centers in a way that we would like them to talk about it, kind of like they were pushing back against the state. And so that was pretty cool for me to see from the local level that, you know, they acknowledge that there are economic benefits to data centers, but you have to understand what your community wants. And then you have to put in restrictions in place to make sure that if they do ever come, that, you know, you have your planning and zoning in place. They're not going to be built in areas people don't want them built in.
I don't want them built, period.
Well, 100%. But sometimes if you don't if the town can't pass a ban, for example, that's all you can do is put in those restrictions, right? And it requires all of the people on the board to be in support of a ban, which if your board's not in support of that and you have one lone member, it's not going to get passed. You see what I mean? Yeah. But a board would pass a restriction plan. You know what I mean? That's something that would almost be like, oh, well, what are you talking about? You're not going to put in restrictions to help limit this? That's crazy. And so that's what they were recommending. And so I was happy that at least some recommendations were coming down the pipeline. You know what I mean?
Well, there's awareness
from the local level, not from the state level.
There's awareness now. And, you know, I know I have a lot of Republican friends. I have a lot of Democrat friends too. And I'm not talking about just Democrat and Republican voters. I'm talking about people in the government. And I'm so frustrated primarily with the Republican Party, because the Republican Party, especially in the state of Missouri, they are pushing AI data centers so hard. They will not listen to why people don't want them. They ignore people that don't want them. They come out and say that people that don't want AI data centers are somehow aligned with China, Iran, Russia. It's, you know, you got to think about this. We're more conservative than the Republican Party, and they're calling us leftists. Because we don't want a prison built around us, a tech prison built around us. When you said it's economic development, think about this. Do you think private prisons make any money? And if private prisons make money, and
that's a controversial subject for sure.
Right. And if private prisons donate to politicians, won't there be more private prisons? Same thing with this AI tech boom, right? If there's money to be made, if there's money to be donated, if there's money going into the PACs from the AI data centers, then the politicians are going to acquiesce. That's what they do. Politicians in this particular state and around the country they live off of power and money. That's why we have a constitution, because we saw what happens when you don't pay attention to your own civil liberties.
Yeah.
The government will take them away from you.
I want to address this from Travis about the data centers.
And how do I get my comments on the screen? I can't see them.
They're probably on the right side if you click comments on the right.
Got it.
Yeah, there we go. Adding data centers as a permitted use is opening the door. That's the first big mistake made by local governments. That is not a mistake, Travis, and I'll tell you why. If you do not list it in your planning and zoning in the specific use where it can be built, your city can issue what's called a conditional use permit. And these data centers could be built in a residential or commercial area where you do not want them. And so, what you want your local governments to do is to zone them to, most likely, for example, what I spoke to Union about is zoning them to an I3 industrial 3 zone, which they don't even have any I3 land. So that means that if a data center comes, they can't build there because they don't even have that as a zoned area because they don't have that type of land. And so those are the things you can do at the local level to ensure that they don't go to areas where you don't want them to. And so just want to address that because there's a lot of education that needs to happen around local government, Rob, that I'm even learning, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And what they can and can't do. There's a lot of people that think that boards can just, oh, we don't want that business here, so we can just say we don't want that business here. It's a lot more complicated than that because businesses can sue cities for discrimination, and then you open yourself up to lawsuits, and that's potentially millions of dollars of the taxpayers' money. You know what I mean? And so you have to go about it the right way. I'm not saying you don't go about it because it's too scary. I'm just saying that there's education that has to happen a lot of times for the citizens to understand what you can versus what you can't do. From the government's standpoint. You know what I mean?
Right. And right now, in my opinion, from a legislative point of view, the number one thing we have to do as a society is stop this from happening. We've got to stop mass surveillance of American citizens. If you don't stop the mass surveillance of American citizens, then you are not going to be free. Period. That's it. If you can be surveilled by your government, all you need is a tyrannical government and it's over. Or you mean to tell me if we have mass surveillance of American citizens 100 years from now, 50 years from now, 20 years from now, maybe right now, you're not going to have a government that is tyrannical with that kind of power? You have to stop it. The American citizens have got to stop what is happening. And I think they are aligned with Israel to get it done, not the people of Israel. I get called a Jew hater all the time. I'm so sick and tired of hearing that. To me, what it says is you're an imbecile when you say
Yeah.
that. I just immediately think, okay, imbecile. I got an imbecile on my hands. I'm not going to deal with anybody that calls me a Jew hater because I see a problem with Israel. I see a lot of problems, but the one with Israel is so easy to diagnose. It's just so easy to see. It's so frustrating that people are not paying attention to it. So let me walk through it, Isaiah.
It's the same rhetoric. It's same logical. If you take the logic and take it out, it's the same logic that people who were calling us racist for calling out the George Floyd death, right?
Exactly. Well, it's
same
just,
logic.
It's something that's a person who has no argument. They just want to label you something. Like,
Yes.
wait a minute. Can you address the argument? Jew hater.
Yeah.
You're a Jew hater, Rob. I'm like, Jew hater. What do you? I don't want to get into it again. But it's absurd. It's just not true. It's obnoxious, and it only comes from imbeciles and charlatans. Two things: imbeciles and charlatans. That's it. That's the only people that say that. Anybody that wants to have a real argument can't win the argument, so they have to paint you out as something that you're not.
For some reason, they never want to come to a live debate either.
Yeah, they don't want a live debate. They don't want to do anything that makes any sense. Clip number one. Let me just show people what I'm talking about so I can walk through this here very quickly because I want to tie what's going on in the states to what's going on at the federal level. Okay, this is from Responsible Statecraft on X. This is what it reads. It says, ex-CIA Paul Pillar. So far, Section 622 of the Intel bill has received less attention than Section 224 of the defense bill. No doubt Tom Cotton wants it this way because it brings Israel into our intel system in ways no foreign country ever should. So let me walk through these two. So 622 and 224 are two bills that merge our intelligence and our military technology with Israel. The same Israel that bombed a USS warship on June 8, 1967, and our government and our intel agencies covered it up. Would that be infiltration from within? Let me ask everybody out there. If a foreign country bombed an American ship and then the host country and the foreign country covered it up so their citizens didn't know, and then 59 years later, that same country and those same intelligence agencies are putting surveillance systems all over the country. You have $40 trillion in debt. They had the borders wide open. They stuck needles in your arm. They have a fake media. What do you think is happening? All the same time you're caught up in the UFC fights at the White House. What do you think is happening? This doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out, or a rocket scientist, or even an average intelligence person to understand what is going on in our country. Bread and circus as they bring in the surveillance state. Once they bring in the surveillance state, your freedom is gone. Look what's going on in Missouri. In Missouri, you have legislation that says you cannot do business with the state of Missouri if you don't sign an agreement that says you will not boycott Israel. How is that in the interest of the citizens of Missouri? How do you think that's in the citizens' interest? How does the Republican Party think that's in the interest of the people of Missouri? It's not. Same thing in Florida. Same thing in 38 states. 38 states have said, if you want to do business with us as a contractor for your own state as an American citizen, you got to profess your loyalty to Israel. Think of how insane that is, and nobody pays attention to it. We're going to get to the bottom of it, though, aren't we, Isaiah?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get to the bottom of it. We are definitely going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to make a trip out to D.C. I'm hoping to do that once a month now, Isaiah. Yeah. We'll get out to Washington, D.C., and we'll start to ask the right questions. This last time we went to D.C., it was for the USS Liberty survivors. We wanted to make contact with Thomas Massie in his office, but we're going to be in D.C., and wait till you see a real media begin to develop. Wait till you see it. It's going to blow your mind when we ask these people questions, because they're going to have to answer it. They have to walk from the Capitol, and they have to walk outside in order to get lunch. They have to walk outside to get to their cars. They have to come in contact with the public.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have independent journalism, period, end of sentence, in this country. It doesn't have to be Rob and Isaiah. Those people are going to start lining in the streets of Washington, D.C. Once they start to see the problem clearly, you're going to see independent journalists boom. Independent journalism will boom. It has to.
And we saw a few while we were there. I mean, there were some major press outlets that were there at the press conference with us, but there were a couple people there just with headphones and a cell phone, right? Yeah. And so it's that's all it takes. And I will say, because of that, I put this out on X, but if you go to the AmericanConservative.com, it's just the American Conservative magazine, we're quoted in there because we went out there. And so because of all this, they don't say the Rob Carter Show, they call you just a reporter, but they quote the entire interview that we did with Massie.
Because it was brilliant.
I was going to say, we've gotten a lot of great feedback from people that we asked the right questions, and questions that the mainstream media is not asking. We heard exactly what Newsmax asked him as soon as he got done with the press conference. The first thing that Newsmax wanted to know, because this is the rhetoric that was coming from the establishment, was like, okay, well, where's the Epstein files? You said you're going to read them. Where they're at, huh?
Right. Because that's where they want people focused. It's not that Epstein isn't important. No. That's where they want everybody focused. What we have to focus on is what they're actually doing. What is the outcome? I said to Thomas Massie about the surveillance state, I said, what do we do? And did he seem a little bit caught off guard by that, Isaiah? He did.
Yeah, I think that's something that he is not used to, people asking him in that way. You remember I was telling you, I feel like he's not used to people asking these types of questions, because he's used to gotcha questions.
Exactly.
And I could see a smile getting bigger and bigger and bigger as we kept walking, because you're asking the right questions.
Well, I asked him about because I think that it's relatively obvious that the Democrats and the Republicans are the same team. Yes. You don't see it that way. And I'm not talking to this audience. This audience understands what's going on. But if you're out there in the world and you turn on a Fox News or you turn on your radio stations, it's Republicans, Republicans, Republicans. The Republicans have to win. Got to vote for your Republicans in the primary. Got to vote them in the general, because if you don't, it's going to be the Democrats. And then if you turn on MS Now or CNN, it's got to be the Democrats, the Republicans. That's a fake fight. So I asked Thomas Massie, is it a fake fight? And he said, not only is it a fake fight, it's complete and total theater. Complete and total theater. He goes, that is the ruse. Now, Thomas Massie is out, right? Why do you think they wanted Thomas Massie out? Because this is what he's telling people. And they had to destroy him. They had to destroy Thomas Massie for telling us the realities of what's everybody who's paying attention.
His analogy.
What with the Bosa?
But he goes. It's sugar glass bottles and I don't know the
Bosa wood tables and chairs.
Bosa wood tables and chairs, right? And he said, and then I come in with a real weapon, and they're like, oh no.
Yeah, we don't like that. The truth is the weapon, right? The truth is the weapon. If you are somebody who believes that the Republicans are going to get control of government at the local, state, or federal level and do something for you, then you have lost your mind. All you have to do is pay attention. Very difficult to do. I understand that it's difficult to do because of the conditioning. It took me forever to see it. It took me forever. And I think I'm a relatively bright guy. I don't think I could be brainwashed although I was brainwashed. I was brainwashed, no doubt about it. I can remember arguments that I've had throughout my entire life where I'm fighting for the Republicans. And now that I stay attached to it and I watch it every single day, I know for an absolute fact that these two parties work together behind the scenes. There's an article right now about Ashley Awney working with the Republicans. Ashley Awney is a Democrat in the state of Missouri. And there's an article out right now, Rhino Watch posted it, where it talks about them at lunch together with Republicans making their deals.
Mhm.
We saw it. We went down to the Senate in the state of Missouri. There were no Republicans on the floor as the Democrats are putting amendments into Republican bills. And you're thinking, what in the world is going on around here? We got a supermajority.
Senator Mike Moon. He was the only one.
He's the only one that sat there like a real senator. Everybody else was playing footsie and playing games and laughing and giggling and not on the floor. It's just absurd.
Interrupting it. You know, the speaker had to keep hammering it down.
It's
It was
amazing.
crazy.
Okay, I got to get into this,
wanna,
Isaiah, or I'll run out of time because I
know.
do want to
I
get
do want to
into
address Lisa.
Mike Johnson.
She asked about this so that we can explain this for people. I don't believe it requires a unanimous vote. So the two types of votes are just majority, and then there is a super majority vote that does require 2/3 of the board to pass. I don't think this is, I used the wrong terminology. It's just that in my experience, the board acts as like almost a coalition, as like they're all on the same team basically, and like we're together, and this is the stance we're taking. You know what I mean? And so if you break away from that, it's hard to get the other board members on your team if they're already creating like their own coalition. And so it depends on your city and how your board's set up, how many members you have set up, how many city council members you have set up. But I would say if you don't already have this on the table in your township, city, whatever type of government you have, I would approach a representative and say, hey, are you guys thinking, or do we have anything in our planning and zoning code that defines data centers? And if not, they should start drafting some legislation to do so. It's very easy. They can get their city attorney to do it, or get AI to do it, and then hand it over to the city attorney. And then
Isaiah, here's another thing I think is interesting, because as you're talking about that, I'm thinking about the trap that we're in.
Yeah.
There's another trap that we find ourselves in. And this is something everybody better start asking their representatives. Why don't we have clean elections? Why do we not have clean elections? All of the things that we fight over as citizens to get fixed, have you noticed the government doesn't fix anything?
Yeah.
Have you begun to notice that they don't fix jack, diddly, ding dong ever? Can you imagine a scenario? Because I talk about it all the time, but I wanted to just reach the top floor of everybody listening so you can start asking the right questions. Why in the F do we not have elections that we can rely upon in the state of Missouri? Why? What is going on? The Secretary of State, Denny Hoskins, won his election, I guess, on the idea that he was going to get rid of all electronic voting systems in the state of Missouri. He wins the election. We ask him why he's not doing something about it. I said, these are illegal elections in the state of Missouri. Why can't we solve it? And I said, why don't you just stand up at the time?
Yeah.
The AG was Bailey. I said, why not just do a press conference with AG Bailey and say, I cannot certify these elections because they're being held illegally. He admits they're being run illegally, but he says it needs the legislators to put forth something. And I'm thinking to myself, so as Secretary of State, you can't decertify elections or not certify elections that you know are being run illegally in the state of Missouri, as he said, because he didn't want to be a grandstander. And you can bring this up to every single Republican. I brought it up to Holly Jones. I brought it up to Nick Schroer, Ben Brown, Mike Koslow, everybody that will listen to me, Mike Moon, Bryant Wolfen. I brought it up to every single Republican that will have a conversation with me, and nothing's being done about it. And I don't understand it. We are to believe in the state of Missouri that we can't count votes. Think of how, I don't want to say the R word. Think of how ridiculous, that's a better R word than the one I used. Think of how ridiculous it is that you can be convinced by the Republican Party in charge in the state of Missouri that we cannot figure out a way to run legit elections in this state. Think of how insane that is. Nobody does anything about it ever. Right? That's what People's Lobby Missouri, we were founded on the idea that we were going to somehow put enough pressure on Jefferson City to get us back into to the way we should run elections, which is a state holiday. We have a zillion state holidays. We can't have one more for our elections to make sure that the people that are governing us were put there legitimately. We can't do that. You know why they don't want to do it? Why would, as a politician, why would you not take this easy win and give people how many people do you think would vote for a state holiday if they were offered the choice? How many? 80%? 85%?
A lot more than
maybe 100%. How many people would say, you know what, Rob, we really don't want a state holiday to make sure that we choose our leaders properly. We don't, that doesn't really make any sense. Sure, Donald Trump and Barack Obama and every single Democrat and Republican has complained about illegitimate elections, but we're not going to do anything to solve it, Rob. That would be ridiculous. We can't even pass the SAVE Act, which I said before. The SAVE Act is a deal where the government steals $100 from you. It says, what if we give you $20 back? And you go, yes, $20 back on my 100 that you stole from me. That'll be great. We'll run almost legitimate elections. They can't even do that. They can't even do that. I'm getting off. I'm getting straight.
No, they can't.
I'm getting straight because I want to go through Mike Johnson real fast.
Mike Johnson.
Okay.
So let's do. We should probably do some advertisers.
Let me do this, and we'll get to the advertisers.
Okay.
Because I just don't want to run out of time. This is the most important thing for me to get to today. This is something I want people to recognize and understand. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House that controls all legislation that goes through the House, is a criminal, lying scumbag. As I said from day one, Mike Johnson is a bad guy. Period. Bad guy. I want to show you how he works. Okay. So everybody should understand how Mike Johnson does his job of selling propaganda to the Republican Party. This is how he does it. So let's just lay it out. Let me get the first clip here. Which one do I want? Let's start with clip number 6, Isaiah, because it's important that I tell this story properly. Again, like and share, please like and share, please like and share. The more people that understand this, the more people can put pressure on their government. If you want a society that you can be proud of 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you better get to work today. You got to get to work today. You can't wait until it's all over. Everybody that's so caught up in how big their home is and whether they're able to put food on the table for their families, you're going to be dependent on the government quick, because that's how governments like to roll. That's how communism works. That's how fascism works. You either shut down opposition or you just say the government's in control of everything. How do you like that? That's what we're into. All right, clip number 6. This is Thomas Massey. He is on with Charlie Kirk back in the day, and they're talking about, check it out.
And what would cause somebody to flip from fighting hard in a committee to all of a sudden having the deciding vote as speaker? Was he an imposter all along?
I'm coming to that conclusion. I don't think his family's locked up in the basement somewhere, being tortured. Those claims are ridiculous. I don't even believe that he went in a skiff and learned something that we don't know, because I spent 3.5 hours in the skiff with Mike Johnson. Remember, I'm on the Judiciary Committee, and I got the same briefing he got from CIA, NSA, DOD, FBI, DNI, FISA judge. They were all in that skiff. It was actually a 4-hour meeting. After 3.5 hours, I said, this is enough. This is a waste of time. You haven't given us one example of where spying on Americans without a warrant was able to help you avert terrorism. They gave us hypotheticals, and then they gave us examples of how spying on foreigners overseas without a warrant was helpful. But they never gave us an example. So don't believe his story that he went to the skiff and he learned something. That's not true.
So, but I'm just shocked. I haven't heard anyone say that as crisply as you has. I want to repeat that. You were in the same skiff as Speaker Johnson, because I got really fired up at Speaker Johnson on this vote, and I called him and I texted him, and he was arguing from authority with me, Congressman, saying, Charlie, if you were in the skiff like I was, you would understand. And I literally have this in writing. You think innocent Americans will die if we require the FBI to get a warrant? ? I do. So how did what did he hear that you didn't hear in this song and dance 4-hour struggle session in the skiff?
Yeah, it was a struggle session. It was like a brainwashing session. And here's the thing, Charlie. When you go into a skiff, remember, most congressmen are used to having 2 things with them that allow them to verify something if they're being told a lie. Number one, they usually have their smartphone with them.
And their staff.
And their staff. Exactly. Those 2 things you are deprived of. So if you are deprived of those 2 things and any connection to anybody for 3 or 4 hours, you kind of start believing what they're saying, and you think, well, maybe they'll let me out of this skiff if I just nod my head and succumb to the pressure.
Let it go.
But and Mike Turner was in there. He's chair of Intel. It was basically the Mike Turner show. He got to show us. He had every tool at his disposal, every prop, every representative from the agencies, and still couldn't compel us, of the members of the Judiciary Committee, because that's what it was, and Mike Johnson was there, to vote for this. And, maybe Mike got some extra special.
Mike didn't get anything extra special. Mike Johnson is an absolute charlatan. I'm gonna prove it to you. Okay. So that was
he did get something special, some campaign funds from.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's making. I'm sure Mike Johnson's doing just fine. So there is Thomas Massey with Charlie Kirk. He mentioned Mike Turner. We'll come back to him, but that's Massey and Charlie Kirk talking about the extension of the 702 warrantless spying on American citizens. Okay, that is unconstitutional. Period. End of sentence. It is unconstitutional to spy on American citizens without a warrant, period. It doesn't matter if every single American in the country is going to die. You cannot usurp the Constitution and tell people it's for their own safety, because charlatans will use it. That's how they do it. They tell you you're in danger. We have to usurp the Constitution to protect you. And then they have all the power and you are a subject to a kingdom. Okay, that's how the system is designed to go off the rails, away from the Constitution, and give all of the power to the federal government, as we've been talking about endlessly forever. And I'm just trying to prove it so that you see it. Now let's go to clip number 3. All right, this is Tim Burchett. Tim Burchett from Tennessee. We talk about him all the time. The damn gummit, Tim Burchett. Tim Burchett is now talking about 702. Let's hear what Tim Burchett had to say about 702 warrantless FISA, warrantless searches, FISA 702. Check it out.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett, just leaving the House floor. 2 bills tonight. The big one was the FISA, extends FISA Section 702 from June 12th, 2026 to July 2nd, 26. I've always voted no on that thing. The Fourth Amendment is there for a reason. What's going on down here? I don't know, it's got a bunch of Democrats. Anyway, FISA allows, you remember those illegal search and seizures done during the Biden administration, literally thousands of them. I mean, some of these guys were FBI agents trying to hook up with some lady or something, and it's just pathetic abuse. They could get a warrant without, they could tap your phone lines without a warrant. And as I stated, it is bad under Biden. It's a lot worse under us because we know it was wrong and we're not doing anything to stop it.
And I get an amen because it's one party system. You need to figure that out. All right, that's good.
Against.
Man, it's so good.
You think that Tim Burchett can't figure out that it's a one party system? This is why I question these people, right? Thomas Massey admitted Tim Burchett has not been able to figure it out yet, and he still supports Israel, which is mind boggling if he's such a down home, damn gummit type of guy from Tennessee, right? Doesn't make any sense to me. That's just my opinion.
Could be his theology. The problem is that sometimes their theology dictates their political stances.
Agreed.
So if that's their theology, I understand why it is.
Can't think outside of that narrow that box that they put themselves into when they start going Democrat versus Republican. They cannot get out of that mental box. It is amazing to me to watch it live and in person. Okay, let's go to clip number 5. This is Thomas Massey speaking out against 702 warrantless searches. He's introduced by Jamie Raskin. Remember, Jamie Raskin was with Thomas Massey in the elevator when the USS Liberty survivors handed him the information that started this whole thing. So obviously, Raskin, who's Jewish, by the way, did you know that? So he's on the same page with Thomas Massey, which is very interesting because he must be an anti-Semite, Isaiah. I didn't even realize that that Jews could be anti-Semites, but I guess.
Oh yeah, self-hating Jew.
I don't know why he hates Jews so much. It's so crazy. All right, here we go. This is Thomas Massey on the floor of the House speaking out against 702 warrantless searches of American citizens. Check it out.
Yield 2 minutes to the very distinguished gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Massey, who's a great champion of the Constitution and civil liberties.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in opposition to this clean reauthorization of a unconstitutional program that's being used to spy on Americans without warrants. This would be the third temporary clean extension of this unconstitutional program. And I find myself on the unfortunate opposition to the chairman of the committee of jurisdiction,
the distinguished gentleman from Ohio. I'm going to read some of his quotes from last year. This is an article in the Washington Post that he so eloquently wrote. 1 year from now, Republicans and Democrats in Congress will have a chance to reaffirm our commitment to the Constitution and better protect the Americans from warrantless government surveillance. This will be one of the most important debates we will.
I have long said that Jim Jordan is the new Trey Gowdy. All talk, totally full of SHI, and you know where the rest of it goes. Totally full of it, Jim Jordan. And everybody loves Jim Jordan. Let me tell you how they craft the image of these people. They get you all worked up about, let's say, Benghazi in the case of Jim Jordan, or Trey Gowdy for that matter. Benghazi. And you're like, well, I hate Hillary Clinton. She was involved in Benghazi. Jim Jordan's going to get her. So is Trey Gowdy. They're going to get Hillary Clinton, same way Donald Trump was going to get Hillary Clinton. Remember, Donald Trump was going to put her in jail if he became president. He was going to take her down. We're going to have special prosecutors. The Clintons were going to go down. That's what Donald Trump told us. That's what Trey Gowdy told us. That's what Jim Jordan tells us. I got to tell you right now, what I hear is that Hillary Clinton lives like a queen, got more money than she can ever spend. She goes to every event that she likes to go to. She is living good. When all of the Republicans in power, the Trey Gowdys, who went right to Fox News, Jim Jordan, who was alleged to have allowed molesting of children going on when he was a wrestling coach in Ohio, and now Donald Trump, who's caught up in the Jeffrey Epstein case with Howard Lutnick, and everybody does nothing after they get elected, telling you they're going to take these people down. They're just liars. Period. Easy to see. You don't need to be Columbo. You don't need to be Inspector Gadget. You don't need to be anything other than somebody who's not brainwashed outside of reality to see what is happening. And you have to see it. If you don't see it, we're going off the cliff. Turn down the music, turn away from the hot wife, recognize you're going off a cliff, get involved in your government, put pressure on these people. They have to fear you, not fear you of revolution like you're going to get your guns. Not yet anyway. We may get to that. But they have to fear you. If they do not fear you, they're going to take your constitutional liberties away from you, and you're going to leave a society for your kids and grandkids that is unimaginable, because they are coming for us, as John F. Kennedy tried to tell us before they assassinated him in broad daylight in Texas. That's what he tried to tell us. The speech to the press club, April of 1961, President John F. Kennedy tried to warn us that there was a conspiracy that relied primarily on covert means. That's the way he put it. That relies primarily on covert means to take your country down. And here we are 60 years later, and we're combining our military and our intelligence with Israel through the Republican Party, because you wouldn't suspect anything could possibly go wrong when the Republicans are in charge, could you? So he's getting down with Jim Jordan. What he's reading is Jim Jordan's prior statements where he spoke out against warrantless searches. Now he's all for them. Who could have ever guessed?
It's almost like Lindsey Graham, who hated Trump, and now
it's all a charade.
He couldn't have won without Trump, and so he's his biggest fan now.
Let me get my Werenberg going when you put this on. Where's my Werenberg? Werenberg. Let me find
said
it.
I need the Werenberg.
I got to get the Werenberg music going on as we're doing. All right. I'll put the Werenberg on when we do Mike Johnson. I don't want to do that to Massey. All right, here we go. This is Thomas Massey on the floor of the House laying the wood to Jim Jordan, who spoke out all the time against 702 warrantless searches. And now, of course, Jim Jordan is for them. Couldn't make it up. Go ahead.
Have this Congress, and it's vital that we begin working now to protect Americans' constitutional rights. He goes on to say, our fidelity must always be to the Constitution. The Fourth Amendment is one of the foundations of American civil liberties. It is part of what makes our country great and makes us the envy of the world. We must continue to protect and enhance it. Passing a warrant requirement for Section 702 will do just that. He goes on to tweet later, or earlier than that, the same people who spied on President Trump's campaign are now fighting against a warrant requirement in the new FISA bill. Makes you wonder. So I find myself disagreeing with the chairman in this debate, but agreeing vehemently with him last year and the year before when he pointed out this program is unconstitutional and there's only one way to fix it: require warrants, judicial warrants. And we saw the president's administration tweet this week that we shouldn't trust these liberal judges in Washington, D.C. to hamstring the Secretary of Defense. Well, that's not what we're talking about. Number one, We're not talking about a constraint on the Secretary of Defense. We are talking about, or Secretary of War, we are talking about a constraint on the FBI to spy on Americans. And we're not talking about liberal judges. 8 of the 11 Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court judges were appointed by Republicans.
You don't
say. By the way, most of them aren't even in D.C. And with that, I yield back to the distinguished gentleman.
So what he's laying out, and this is the reason they don't like Massey. Massey is describing to people, like, I'm curious to see how far Massey goes with this, right? But what he's laying out for people is everything is a charade. They tell you one thing and they do another. Both sides of the aisle, the ones that we can't recognize as conservatives, and the masses that vote Republican, vote Libertarian, vote conservative, what they can't recognize is their party is complicit. They can't see it. All they can see is it's Democrats, Democrats, Democrats. And I don't like the Democrats either. But I'm starting to recognize that the Republicans and the Democrats are one and the same. That's what Thomas Massey told me on that little walk and talk. I said, is it just all theater? And he said, 99% of what goes on here is scripted. It is written by the lobbyists. Everything else is theater. Because he had a quote that I used to play on my show all the time. And it said, I will not be a thespian in failure theater. And what he meant by failure theater was the Republicans fight, just like this, 702. They fight. They want warrantless searches. They want to add the amendment where you have to have a warrant to search. That's what they fought for years and years. Now that they get power, now they're completely against it. Isaiah, does that make sense to you? It's incredible.
President Trump, they hated him. Now they love him.
Yep. All the neocons that Donald Trump tried to expose in his first term, now he is literally spooning with them. I could say other things that he's doing with them, but he's definitely spooning with them. Now he's in love with them. Now he loves Lindsey Graham. I guarantee if Mitch McConnell was running for another term, he would be absolute, because he did endorse Mitch McConnell. Don't forget, Donald Trump endorsed Mitch McConnell, whose wife is connected to the CCP, one of the most powerful people in the CCP. And she was in the Trump administration, but Trump fans can't see that. They're like, Rob, that's 5D chess. You just don't get it. Sure, she might be spying on American citizens. Sure, she's connected to the CCP.
It's worth it, though.
The CCP is our enemy, but we must have her because she's the only one that can do the job because she is Mitch McConnell's wife. Can't make it up. Okay.
Now I didn't connect those dots. Now I know. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
now.
exactly. Now, show this before we get to Mike Johnson. Okay. Let's show you, because they just had a vote. This is a really good thing that happened because they voted this down. The Republicans did help the Democrats vote this down, which I think is a great thing. What I'm trying to prove to you is that Thomas Massey is right. Mike Johnson is a fraud, and I'm going to prove it to you here in just a second. So stay with me. All right. Number 2, this will show you all the people in the House that voted against warrantless searches. Now, can you read those names off to me, Isaiah?
Yeah.
Because these are all
these are the people that voted for it.
They voted against it.
It says, please thank these members for defending the Fourth Amendment.
They voted against warrantless searches. Okay?
Oh, yeah. Voted against renewing it is what you're saying.
Then read the names off of these are all Republicans, right, Isaiah? Okay. Yep. Read off the names of the Republicans real fast.
Lauren Boebert, Josh Breaching, Tim Burchett, Eric Burleson. Let's go, Eric.
We'll get Eric Burleson on the, we'll get him next time we go to DC.
Kat Kamick, Michael Cloud, Andrew Clyde. Oh, Eli Crane. Nice. Warren Davidson, Troy Downing, Russ Fulcher, Paul Gosar, Harriet Hageman, Mike Kennedy, Thomas Massey, John Rose. Oh, Chip Roy. Nice. Michael Ruley. And then Keith Self. That guy is definitely voting against it. We saw his the signs all over his office. They said, don't spy on me.
That's right. So there you go. So you have 19 Republicans that voted with the Democrats to make sure that you were not spied on unconstitutionally. So 19 Republicans. Now, let's show you the press conference by this absolute charlatan, con man, lying scumbag. And I don't like to say that because I'm trying to be more Christian lately, but it is what it is. Mike Johnson is just such a fraud. If you pay attention to Mike Johnson and the press conferences, if you have not figured out that he is just he'll say whatever his little puppet masters tell him to say every single time. He has no soul. Mike Johnson is a bad guy.
He would have been great working with George W.
Oh, yeah. He's the Speaker of the House. That's who they have to put as the Speaker of the House because it gives shade for all of the other charlatans in the Republican Party. That's how this works. Okay, here we go. This is Mike Johnson press conference talking about the bill that was just voted down by 19 Republicans and the Democrats. Here's how he told his loyal listeners. This is what he told them about the bill. Check it out.
Well, I don't know if the American people just saw what happened on the floor, but it is shameful and it is very, very dangerous. Let me just tell you what's happened here. Today, we just offered a simple, clean 3-week extension of the FISA national security law. The Democrats, 199 of them, voted against a clean 3-week extension for political purposes, and when the bill went down, they applauded. They applauded it. That record and that video is going to live in infamy. I pray that we do not have a serious calamity on our shores over the next few weeks. We have done everything we possibly can. House Republicans are trying.
Just want to pause it there. Do you think they're going to do a false flag?
I don't know what they're going to do. I think they'll pass it.
Yeah.
I think they'll find a way to pass it somehow, some way. That'd be my guess.
That's what I'm wondering, if they will do something to. That's why 9/11. That's what they did with 9/11, right? And so, and that's
this
what
is where Israel plays in. This is how Israel
Yeah.
plays the game, right? This is the connection to Israel that most people are not paying attention to. Israel is our false flag buddy. So when the American government wants to take power away from you, when the corporations that actually run the show in this country, whether you believe that or not, it's a fact. The corporations run the show in this country. They run it in the state of Missouri. They run it in Florida. The corporations run the show. Your voice means jack diddly ding dong unless they're more afraid of the citizen than they are of making money with the corporations. That's how this whole system is working right now. If you don't push back against it, then they're going to all get rich. Look at these people that come out of Washington, D.C. and back into the States. They're loaded. They're loaded. How much is Ann Wagner worth now? $30 million? Are you worth $30 million, Isaiah?
No.
Do you think you're as bright as Ann Wagner?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Better looking?
Definitely, considering we saw who she picked as for her staffers.
Correct. You got her staffer came out with a mask.
KN95 mask on inside
her
a building.
and she was sitting in an office by herself wearing that mask before she came out, just so we all understand what's going down here. Do you think that you're as competent as Ann Wagner, Isaiah?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Do you think Ann Wagner has some special skill that you just don't understand that made her $30 million? Or did she go to Washington, D.C. and start manipulating the game so she could redirect money into her pocket? If you had to guess.
Yes.
Of course. $30 million is what they say she is worth right now.
Vote for Peter Pfeiffer.
Vote for Peter Pfeiffer. Exactly. Vote for Peter Pfeiffer. Get these people out of office. Right now, unless they do something about the elections, if they do something about Jeffrey Winehouse, I'm going to vote against all. I'm going to tell everybody to start campaigning. All the Republicans that follow this show, and there are a lot of them, and they know it. That's why they cause so much trouble for us, Isaiah. We're going to tell our listening audience not to even have anything to do with them. Don't vote for them. Smear them. Pound away at them. Jeffrey Winehouse should be free right now today, and they better start paying attention to the elections, because you can't get these mother you-know-whaters out of office unless we have clean elections. They just, even when they go away, they just bring somebody right back behind them that's going to do the exact same thing. The system must be addressed.
Yep.
Okay? All right, let's finish this up, and then by the way, let's do Rocket.
Sorry to interrupt. I was like, oh my gosh, you didn't catch that before.
Rocket, Valvoline, and Grace.
Nice. We got to do People's Lobby first.
Okay.
To govern. We're trying to keep the American people safe. On April 29th, we passed a 3-year extension of the FISA national security law. It has been sitting over in the Senate, and because the Democrats in the Senate are playing political games as well, they're unable to pass it. So we did everything within our power to try to ensure that this statute does not expire, and the Democrats are using it as a political hostage. Now, this is their custom in the 119th Congress. This is what Democrats do right now. You will remember that earlier this year, they took the Department of Homeland Security, 2 of its most important agencies, and turned those into hostages. They shut down the government. They shut down TSA agents and border security and cybersecurity capabilities and the Coast Guard. Why? Because they were insistent that we no longer secure the national border. They wanted to give $0 to that. And they were insistent that we do not continue to remove criminal, illegal aliens from American communities to keep the American people safe. That is what the current Democrat Party stands for in Washington. They are willing to jeopardize the safety and the security of the American people to make a cheap political point. Now, Hakeem Jeffries is a Democrat leader in the House. They put out a statement this morning saying that what is their reason? What is their excuse for this? Their excuse is that they're upset about a very temporary appointment that the President of the United States has already said would be very temporary in nature while he searches for and selects a new director of national intelligence. That is an important process. It takes some time and thought and deliberation, and the President of the United States has the the right, the ability, the responsibility, the duty to do that well. He has a lot going on right now, as we all know. And the president is deliberate about that. I spoke with him less than an hour ago about it. He is very close to a decision. And the Democrats know that. But they see this as a political moment that they can somehow score political points. It is detestable. It is dangerous. It is going to jeopardize the safety and security of the American people. We all know what's going on around the country right now.
Absolutely.
We're hosting the World Cup, FIFA. We have big
anymore. He makes me sick to my stomach. I don't like
Democrats' fault.
It's Democrats. We got 19 Republicans that just spoke out against it. Thomas Massey and Chip Roy, Kat Kamek. The list was long, right? Who was the Troy? Who was the last one?
Keith Self, Chip Roy,
Keith Self. Yep.
Yeah. Lauren
Well,
Boebert,
19
Tim
Republicans
Burchett.
vote against it, and all he did was talk about Democrats. All he said the entire time. He never said that we had 19 Republicans that sided with the Democrats because the laws that they're putting forth are unconstitutional. That he could muster out of his fat lying mouth. I get so frustrated with these people because I see them as traitors. I think that's why I get upset. Do you see traitors as being bad for your country? Do you see traitors as somebody that need to be smeared? Do you think they need to have accountability for their actions? COVID's a perfect example. I don't want to get into that, but perfect example where you know for certain that a fraud was perpetrated on us, where millions of small businesses were closed, families separated, lives destroyed, people killed with their concoctions, sold it to you on all of their corporate outlets. Nothing happens.
You know what I
And
said?
as the old radio station used to tell me, Isaiah, you got to stop talking about it, Rob. Nobody cares anymore. That's what they used to tell me.
Wow.
I used to get text messages when I would go on for my COVID rants. And listen, I love them. I'm just telling you, this was their mindset. Rob, it's over. We got to move on. You got to move on. You got to move on from 1 million people being killed, 1 million jobs being lost, and the entire country shut down on a complete and total fraud that was orchestrated in advance. We just have to move on from that. Well, how do you ever get anything done?
Yeah, I don't think. I think it's kind of like it's you have to have the same mindset as the USS Liberty and as the Jewish people have about the Holocaust. You can't forget it, right?
Right.
Now, I understand you don't want. It's not the only thing you want to talk about, right? But that doesn't mean that you just forget it completely. I think that would be irresponsible in my opinion. And I did want to say, I looked at the list. Clay Fuller is the rep that replaced MTG, and he is not on the list.
No, that's what they always do. They take the people out, they tell you the truth, and they put some AIPAC, Israel loving people in behind it. And again,
I bet we'll see. I bet we'll not see Ed Galreinstein on lists like this in the future.
Don't think?
No, I don't think so. I'm just guessing, though. You think maybe I'm wrong, Rob?
Ed Galreinstein, $30 million to take out Massey, who's the only one that I can see, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, the two that were trying to get the truth out. They have so demonized these people, the Republicans and the Republican voters and Trump supporters. They hate Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene. They hate them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Hate them for actually trying to tell people the truth. That's how this all works. It's the
people that will support Ann Wagner, who has a Liberty score of 50%. F. She's got an F rating on the Liberty score, which means that's how they're assessing her voting with the Constitution. She has an F. Thomas Massey was 96%.
Yeah, the guy that votes with the Constitution more than anybody in Congress, they hate.
Yeah,
think about that. And that comes from the John Birch Society, and all of the Republican think tanks say that Thomas Massey votes with the Constitution more than anybody in
Charlie
Washington.
Kirk said it.
And Charlie Kirk said it before the transgenders killed him, right, Isaiah?
Yeah.
You know the transgenders did it. I mean, all you got to do is ask Kash Patel. He wouldn't
Democrats.
lie. Kash Patel with those crazy eyes. He wouldn't lie to you. Kash Patel. Good Lord. All right. Rocket careers.
People's Lobby. People's Lobby.
People's Lobby. You want to start with People's Lobby?
Yeah,
right.
I got
People's
it.
Lobby, Missouri. I was talking to Kristen. She's running the website for us. So I'm waiting very patiently for us to start really promoting the website because we're going to put a lot of information out there sooner rather than later. It's about ready to go down. People's Lobby, Missouri. If you're anywhere in the country, especially in Missouri, and you want to help us out, we look for donations and or any kind of volunteerism that you would like to add to the equation. We need more hands on deck to get the word out. We need to organize so that we can put pressure on our representatives. If we have 10,000 people that are subscribed to People's Lobby, Missouri, no money, you don't have to pay any money. then we can begin to communicate with you when we want to get things done. When you want to start making phone calls, when you want to organize, when you want to go to Jefferson City, when you want to make your voices heard, we provide the forum and the outlet to keep everybody organized. That's why I love Act for Missouri. They give us all the information that we need. We bring them on the show every Thursday. They are the engine that makes it all work, and we facilitate it. That's it. That's how we work together. That's it. That's how we do it. And if you do not, if you don't care, that's a different story. But if you care, just join People's Lobby Missouri so we can begin to make a difference. We are going to have to pressure this government in order to get our constitutional liberties and our constitutional rights back. That's how I see it. Okay. People's Lobby Missouri. People's, 3 words, peopleslobbymo.com. peopleslobbymo.com. We love donations. We prefer small donations. $5, $10 donations are perfect for us because ultimately what we want to do over the course of the next, I gave myself 2 years, Isaiah. I think we can do it in 2 years. We're going to have to make some more noise, but within 2 years, if we have 10,000 donations of $5 or more, then all of a sudden we can put billboards up. We can run TV ads. We can do all of the things that we need to do. We're not taking money out of it. We're not taking money out of it. In fact, I'm thousands of dollars into it because I want it to work. All right. This is not a money-making scheme for us. This is not a PAC. In fact, when I tried to run a PAC, everybody that was involved with me said, Rob, don't do a PAC. If you do a PAC, it's all about money. If you do it as a nonprofit, then everybody gets to see where the money goes. And now we're rocking and rolling because nobody will think you're trying to make money off it. I'm not trying to make money off it. I'm trying to make a living off of the Rob Carter Show, just so we can put the information out there. Isaiah and I are not driven by making millions of dollars. That's not why we do it. We didn't quit our jobs. You had a high-paying job, didn't you, Isaiah?
Oh, yeah.
I had a high-paying job.
I got to turn
down.
Not
a high-paying job. I just want to make sure you understand. It's not high-paying.
Let's see. People offer me like a lot of money to run Facebook ads for them. So I've turned down probably about $10,000 in recurring revenue a month right now that I could have from just running ads for people.
You think people appreciate what we're doing? You do. I mean,
oh my gosh, yes. I'm blown away by the support that we got, especially after going to DC. The amount of people that were reaching out to us, even before it started going really viral and it just started getting a little bit of steam. There was all kinds of people reach out to me, and I'm sure they were reaching out to you too, Rob. I mean, people were in group chats with us, reaching out to me individually, probably reaching out to you individually, telling us that this is what the media needs to do. This is the questions they need to be asking, and this is the type of content that needs to be put out there, because you're not going to see it. You're not going to see that interview on Fox News.
No.
You're not going to see that interview on MSNBC, on Barry Weiss's CBS, on CNN. You're not going to see it anywhere.
300 million.
Everyone told us.
Yep, 300 million people in this country. There was what, maybe half dozen people down there reporting.
Yeah.
When we went down there, a half dozen.
Yeah. Got to give credit to Newsmax.
Newsmax was there.
Newsmax was there, and TMZ. Got to give credit to TMZ.
TMZ was there.
I know. It's crazy.
It's the capital of the United States, and you have I thought when we were there, maybe 6 journalists covering the Capitol. That's it. It's incredible. It's just bizarre. Okay.
And because of that, we got a great interview with Randy Fine. And respect to him, we trash him a lot, but he was.
We disagree with him.
We disagree with him, but he's very cordial.
He was.
And I think that's what we got to lay out for people too, so that they understand how we do things.
Yeah, we are not going. I just want to make sure people understand this, because what really gets the clicks. Everybody talks about us trying to get clicks. If we want clicks, I could have just laid out Randy Fine right there. I could have. I could offer to fist fight him right
like
there.
That girl. I won't expose her, but like that girl's clip, right?
Yeah.
That she should.
Yeah, so this girl walks up to after we interviewed Randy Fine, and she walks up to Isaiah and I, and she was friends with the guy's name, Dan. He's running
Balzerian. Yeah.
Balzerian. And so she knew this guy. She was, and so she was trying to do this kind of attack on Randy Fine, where she's going, she's calling him names and she's screaming and she's getting it on video, this and that and the other. That's not what we're doing. All right. Everybody can do whatever they want. I mean, it's a free country. Do what you want. What we're going up there to do is ask the right questions and get answers. We were there to see the USS Liberty survivors. So we asked him about the USS Liberty survivors and what his take on it was, and elections, and then we roll. All right. But we're going to get Democrats and Republicans, and the questions are going to be very difficult for these people to answer, because they are liars. They are frauds. It is theater. There is no doubt about it in the world that it's just theater up there. The corporations make the decisions. They write the bills, and they have to give you the illusion that your vote matters. That's it. That's what's going on. As George Carlin recognized almost 30 years ago, he said the bankers have been controlling this thing for a long time. All they have to do is give you the illusion that you're free as they slowly start to drip it and take it away from you. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
ROCKIT careers.com. My good friend Mitch. He can't listen today. He must have had a meeting, Isaiah, which is really nice. So he must have been doing some business. But my good
You
friend,
hopped in for a minute.
he was there. He said he had to roll at 10 o'clock. So he took off on us. But Mitch and Brian, they are the best in the business at working for those without jobs or those who hate their jobs. If you hate your job, if you're out of work and you want to launch a new career, the first call you should make is to rocketcareers.com. They have a network from coast to coast. This is a nationwide business. They will take care of you and you'll love the experience. These are good people. These are people that get excited about helping other people. Wouldn't that be nice if more people were like that? They want to help. That's why they're in this business. If you hate your job, if you're out of work, if you're sitting in a cubicle right now, void of sunshine, and you just can't take another day of it because you hate your life, call rocketcareers.com at 636-778-2419. 636-778-2419, rocketcareers.com. And again, for my small to medium-sized businesses out there, you know how difficult it is to get talent into your organization. Every small business owner that I know says the exact same thing. It's hard to get people. It's hard to teach them. It's hard to retain them. Lean on rocketcareers.com. They'll take care of you. They'll do the job that human resources either doesn't do or can't do. They will take care of you. They'll make your business better. They'll bring the right candidates before you. You'll improve your business because the people that are brought before you will be better. Rocketcareers.com, ROCKIT careers.com, 636-778-2419. When it's time for an oil change, I just looked up. My son has the sticker. I have the sticker. Valvoline Express Care. My good friend, Tony Clark. Again, if you're in need of an oil change, this is how you support what we're doing, right? We don't work. We don't have a show. We don't spread the information. We don't help save the country unless you support our advertisers. We are advertiser based. That's why we don't have to worry about clicks and this and that and the other. Do we like it? I think Isaiah and I would both agree that we love it. When we see something we put out onto social media get 100 million views, we love it. We absolutely love it. I'm not saying that we don't, but we're not monetizing it. Right now, we are a subscription-based, advertiser-based organization. That's what we do. So we must support our advertisers. Everybody's going to get an oil change. If you're getting an oil change and you're in the Missouri area, let me give you the locations, right? Cape Girardeau, Missouri, Highland, Illinois, Troy, Illinois, Lemay Ferry Road, Warrenton, Missouri, Mid Rivers Mall Drive, and St. Peters Parkway. Valvoline Express Care. If you need coupons for the next oil change, go to Valvoline-Express Care, Valvoline-expresscare.com. Great people, great service, in and out, 15 minutes from bay to on your way. They just specialize on quick, efficient oil changes. They're not trying to upsell you. They're not trying to get underneath your skin. All Valvoline branded products. Valvoline Express Care, Valvoline-expresscare.com. All right. And then we got to get to gracehauling.com. gracehauling.com, gracehauling.com, my man, Gary Schneider. You'll see his dump trucks, cans. You'll see them all over. You'll see them all over St. Charles County because people love doing business with Gary Schneider. Outstanding customer service. That's what they pride themselves on. Competitive pricing. If you are a commercial business, 2, 4, 6, and 8-yard dumpsters. If you're a residential customer, everything trash, everything rubbish, Grace Hauling, gracehauling.com for trash, recyclables, yard waste, and bulk pickups. It's always gracehauling.com. All right. Can we expand a little bit on what's going on with Israel? I think this is the biggest story. That's why we spent so much time on it. You know, Isaiah and I, from the very beginning, have spent a lot of time on what's going on with this Zionist effort. We're going to have Dr. Shiva on the show. He responded to me last week. We've been trying to get Dr. Shiva on the show for a long time. The reason I bring Dr. Shiva to your attention, and he is a very popular guest. When we have him on, people go crazy. He's very entertaining. He's incredibly bright. He has the answers to your questions. 4 degrees from MIT. He wrote the code for email originally when he was in high school. We're talking about a genius. Okay. He was the first one that said the elections were being rigged up in Massachusetts. He's the first one that told me that a public figure that said Fauci is just a lying fraud. How can people not see it? He invited Fauci to debate him, which nobody debates when they don't have the truth on their side. Right, Isaiah? Wouldn't you say that to be true? If you don't have the truth, how can you debate with somebody who has the truth and can prove it? You can't. So that's why you never heard a debate with Dr. Darth Fauci. You couldn't have a debate with my man, Dr. Shiva, because Dr. Fauci was lying and Dr. Shiva was trying to get out the truth. One other thing about Dr. Shiva that blows my mind, I mentioned it earlier, but I want people to understand what we face. Because of the information that we are bringing, we face the algorithm challenge. I just want you to look up Dr. Shiva on X. Dr. Shiva at one time had over 1 million plus followers. Now he's got 300,000. When Dr. Shiva puts out anything on social media, he gets 500 to 1,000 views. Jake Jackson, right? He gets 500 to 1,000 views on his account. He does not have 4 degrees from MIT. He did not run for president of the United States. He was not married to Fran Drescher, right? So Dr. Shiva has a much longer and more active profile on social media, and they squashed him down to nothing. Why do they squash people? Why do they squash people? They squash people because if we are telling you the truth, they don't want you to hear it. They want you in the corporate news bubble. They want you Democrat versus Republican. They want you mad at your neighbor. They want you screaming and fighting. They don't want somebody teaching you how to improve your situation. And that's what Dr. Shiva does. That's what we're trying to do here on this particular show. And it is not easy. I must admit it is not easy. So let's get Dr. Shiva. Let's give him just a little bit. Dr. Shiva is clip number 12. Here's where he explains Zionism. The reason we spend so much time on it is I didn't understand Zionism, and I thought I was relatively well informed. Zionism is global. It is a global movement, and it owns our White House right now. If you're a Donald Trump supporter and you want to look for the good in everything, right? Everything around Donald Trump seems to be Zionist driven. If you want to be a Donald Trump supporter and you want to support Donald Trump, then you make the argument that he is exposing it all. Okay, that's all you can do is say Donald Trump is doing all of these nefarious things because he wants to expose it. He wants to throw it right in your face so you can't miss it. And then from there, you go back to his 2016 when he became president, January 20th, 2017, where Donald Trump said, I am taking the government away from these frauds behind me, and I'm returning it to you, the American people. Now, when he says he's returning it to you, the American people, what does that mean? Does that mean he has to go fix every single one of our problems, or is he showing you what's happening so that you can fix it yourselves? I would say the latter makes more sense, right? If you're somebody who thinks Donald Trump is just a part of the machine, either way it goes, God has allowed him to expose it for us because you can't miss it unless you are completely off the reservation. You cannot think for yourself. You don't know the information, or you're just brainwashed outside of reality. Those are the options, because this is a fact what is happening. It's everywhere. You cannot miss it. It's amazing to me that people don't see it. It is kind of incredible. Here's Dr. Shiva explaining Zionism. Clip number 12.
A political ideology. It is about promoting a small set of people subjugating others. But it is interesting, during this entire recent events in Gaza, Hindu Brahmins who believe in Brahmanism were supporting the Zionists in Israel. Moreover, there's 70 million Christian evangelicals who are Zionists. There are Saudi Arabian Muslims who are Zionists. There are Hindus, as I said, who are Zionists. If you add all that up, the numbers, there are far more non-quote unquote ethnic Jewish Zionists, I would say order of 10x or 20x, than there are quote unquote Jewish Zionists. So we have to be very, very careful, because I know many Jews who are anti-Zionist, and we could have a long discussion on this, but I'm an anti-Zionist.
Watch the full video, like, share, and subscribe. Learn who the real enemy.
The first person to explain it to me was Dr. Shiva. I had him on the show, and I said, Dr. Shiva, what is Zionism? He said, the easiest way to describe it and where people get off the rails is when they hear Zionism, they think Jewish. Immediately, Jewish, Jewish, Jewish. As he said right there, 10 to 20 times more non-Jewish Zionists than Zionists. It is a political ideology that rules America, rules it. We are being ruled by Zionist ideology. Do you like it? Do you like the surveillance center? Do you like the surveillance life that we're building? That's something that American citizens long for, is to be surveilled every move that they make. License plate readers everywhere, AI data centers, 702 warrantless searches. Is that what you want? How about the open borders? Which Zionist allowed the borders to be open under the Biden administration? Alejandro Mayorkas. That's who was behind it. He was impeached by the House. Chuck Schumer, another Zionist in the Senate who's a Democrat, said, we'll have no trial in the Senate. Have fun. See you later. So 30 million people plus were allowed into our country in a time of supposed terror wars going around the world. And 2 Jewish Zionists, Alejandro Mayorkas and Chuck Schumer, allowed them in. And then the people guarding, or the people that are protecting, are both Zionists. Alejandro Mayorkas, DHS secretary, allowing everybody in the Biden administration. And then Chuck Schumer, leader of the Senate, who said, we'll not take up a trial. We know it's unconstitutional to allow an invasion on our southern border, but we're not going to do anything about it. Anybody calling him out? Any of the Republicans fighting for that? You hear Donald Trump talking about it? How about Mike Johnson, Jim Jordan? Anybody talking about it? No, they don't talk. We talk about it, but they don't talk about it. Like I said, they like to wipe their tail with our Constitution. It is disgusting. If you don't mind, let's just move on to this guy that does the 10th Amendment. It's called the 10th Amendment Center. I got to get this guy on the show. He puts out clips all the time talking about what the Constitution means, how it's supposed to be protected, and here's how it sounds. This guy is fantastic. We've got to get him on the show, Isaiah. Let's start with clip number 10.
Constitution doesn't protect the people. It never could and never will. As John Hancock told us, it's supposed to be the other way around, where the people protect and defend their own Constitution and their own liberty, whether the government happens to like it or not. As he put it, the powers reserved by the people render them secure. But like the Constitution itself, those powers are never going to defend themselves.
He's asking you to get to work. That's what Donald Trump asked you to do. If you're a Donald Trump supporter, that's what he asked you to do. January 20th, 2017, Donald Trump stood before everybody in America during his inaugural speech, and he said, I am taking this government away from these people that have been making money at your expense. And he has Obama and the Bushes and the Clintons sitting behind him. And he said, I'm returning it back to you, the American people. What have the American people done so far, Isaiah? What have we done?
We created the MAGA movement.
Yeah.
And now we don't follow what Donald Trump told us to do. Instead, we follow what he's telling us to do now.
Correct. That's right. So he does a 180, and now we're doing what the other people that he said were con artists. Now we're doing exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
He said they were all frauds prior.
It's fun. Jake said more like neo-Zionists.
Neo-Zionists. True. All right. Clip number 19. Same guy. This is for the 10th Amendment Center. You can follow him on social media, but this guy is really, really good. Listen to what he says about unconstitutional laws being void. All right. I would ask every Republican in the state of Missouri, explain to me and Isaiah, explain to the people of People's Lobby, Missouri, explain to the people of Act 4, Missouri, explain to the people of Missouri how you can pass laws that benefit Israel over American citizens. Explain it to us nice and slow so that we can understand. Because again, if you want to contract with the state of Missouri, if you have a business and you want to contract with the state of Missouri, you have to sign an affidavit that says you will not boycott Israel. You can boycott every other nation on planet Earth, but not Israel. Clip number 19.
Act against the Constitution is void. When James Otis Jr. said that in 1761, there wasn't even a written constitution. But the principle was clear, the baseline for the American Revolution. An unconstitutional law is no law at all. When government goes beyond its constitutional limits, those acts carry no legal force. They're not law, they're void. They're usurpations, stolen power, and they should be treated that way too.
All right, Isaiah, did you send the link to Dr. Helen?
You never sent me her email.
Let me see if I can get that to you real fast while I'm thinking here, because she's
I
probably.
texted you that earlier.
Did you? We were a little behind the scenes. Let me tell her right now. Need your email. All right, let's see if she sends that to us. She didn't send it to me. That's why we didn't have it. I want to continue on with this story, though. Okay. So we're just talking about what is obvious for everybody to see. Let's go to Leo Terrell. All right. When we talk about it's all one team, let's go to Leo Terrell. Does everybody remember Leo Terrell? Leo Terrell became famous during the OJ trials. And he would come out and he'd say, OJ was innocent, OJ was innocent, OJ was innocent. He was on CNN all the time. Then he became this flamethrower on corporate television. At first on CNN, and he would scream and yell on CNN. He'd scream and yell on ABC, NBC, all of the traditional corporate outlets. Leo Terrell. Does everybody remember Leo Terrell back in those days? I do, because I was watching it all go down. Leo Terrell was just a nonsensical flamethrower defending every liberal policy on the planet until Donald Trump became president. And then magically, he's a conservative. So now he's in charge of making sure that if you speak out against Israel, they'll look at it as it is illegal. This is Leo Terrell now. Check it out. Clip number 16, Isaiah.
Clear. Free speech, First Amendment free speech does not allow individuals on the local level, federal level, to incite and to encourage crimes or to encourage victims to be basically denied their personal rights. Let me be very clear. What is happening is free speech is being used to allow Jewish communities to be attacked. And what happens? Todd, these individuals get arrested and they're released. I would ask anyone watching this program, where are the hate crime charges being filed by Alvin Bragg in New York or in Chicago or in Los Angeles or in Detroit? You know where the hate crime charges are being filed? By the Department of Justice on the federal level. What I'm trying to do in this 15-city tour is to make sure that citizens in these cities who are not getting help at the local level, they have alternatives from the federal government and to make sure they know what their rights are. It's not only the failure to prosecute hate crimes, Todd, but it's a indoctrination of these teachers unions to brainwash our K-12 kids to believe in anti-Semitism.
What do you think?
Democrat until 2020, changed to Republican in 2020. He's a civil rights attorney, and now he's fighting to push anti-free speech laws.
Right.
And so I'm not surprised based off his background.
He's a complete charlatan. Everybody knew he was a charlatan. I mean, do you know who Kevin Slayton is, Isaiah? I talk about Kevin Slayton all the time. So Kevin Slayton used to do sports talk when he was in he was a St. Louis Steamers announcer. Very good. I like Kevin Slayton. I think he's very talented. Then he got into politics at some point. And he started talking politics. And I recognized right away that Kevin Slayton, as much as I think he's a good dude, and I think he's very bright, he was a Fox News guy. He doesn't see the world outside of Fox News. He is not paying attention to what we're talking about. He's paying attention to Fox News, and then he regurgitates or throws up on all of his listeners Fox News talking points. So when he was giving credit to Leo Terrell, I said, Leo Terrell, I responded on one of his Facebook posts. I said, Leo Terrell, come on, Kevin, Leo Terrell's a charlatan. And he got mad at me for calling him a charlatan.
Oh, you're right.
So when he's against you and he says everything that you completely disagree with, he was a charlatan. But now that he agrees with you, when he went from Democrat to Republican, from CNN now to Fox News, now you love what Leo Terrell has to say. You didn't even recognize that a 60-year-old man suddenly had an epiphany and said, you know what, everything that I thought as a Democrat for my entire life, now I'm going to work with the Trump administration to be a conservative. You didn't think anything of that. And he went from CNN as a correspondent over to, or a contributor over to Fox News. Didn't even recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think anything of it. Okay.
Just wanted to put this controversy up from him. A couple controversies, actually. While working as an attorney, Terrell was twice sued for legal malpractice for accepting settlements without a client's permission. Between 2004 and 2015, 11 liens were filed against Terrell by the IRS, amounting to almost $400,000 in unpaid taxes. Just keep in mind, this is when Obama was president, and he's a Democrat at this point. Between 2006 and 2014, more than a dozen vendors that had provided services for Terrell's law firm sued him for unpaid bills totaling $170,000. And then in 2017, U.S. District Judge Paul Maloney wrote that Terrell had provided abysmal advice to his client, Edmund Logan, who was sentenced to 35 years in prison after Terrell advised him to reject a plea bargain that would have limited Logan's prison time to 10 years.
He's what we call a thief, Isaiah. And what is it easy to compromise a thief? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's how you compromise thieves. Mm-hmm. The best of us, they don't make it to the top. The worst of us, well, they do make it to the top. That's just how it works.
fact check!
At the very end.
I was distracted. I just saw a video. I'm gonna have to watch it, and we'll have to play it sometime. From 2020, it says Leo Terrell says the Democrat Party left me. Very interesting.
Look, can we do 18? Because I got to get Catherine Fitz in here too. So I'm just laying out all of the information that is out there for people. Again, if we're going to be effective on this show, if we're going to be effective at changing the long-term destination of this wonderful country that we are all blessed to live in, then we got to get to work. That's all I'm saying. We got to get to work. If you decide that you want to get to work, People's Lobby Missouri is the place to be. peopleslobbymo.com. Sign up. You don't have to, if you can't donate or you don't want to donate, fine with me. Just sign up so we can share the information with you so that when you see it, you can start to spread that information, maybe email it to your friends and so forth. We have got to get to work. This is happening. It is 100%, no doubt about it. If you go to DC, you can see it even more. This is happening. You have a puppet government that is aligned with the intelligence agencies, which I think what Israel's all about. I really do. I think what happened was at some point, the intelligence agencies, the United States, the CIA, if you want to call it that, and Mossad and MI6 probably, all combined. Probably when technology got so advanced that you couldn't hide information from anybody anymore. So they said, you know what, we might as well join hands because we're all can hear what everybody's doing. And they probably started sharing information. That's just a guess. I don't know. But Israel is a proxy for the United States government. That's why I don't really get mad at Israel. But he goes, Rob, Israel, y'all talk about Israel. Why do you hate the Jews? I said, I'm just telling you how this thing is playing out. I'm mad at my government for allowing it to happen. I don't vote in Israel. I didn't swear an allegiance to the Constitution. I don't pledge allegiance to Israel. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America. I'm worried about my family, my country, and my territory. And if my government is complicit with what's going on in Israel, and Israel is bombing everybody in the Middle East with my weapons and my tax dollars, and we're funding terror organizations with my money and my tax dollars so we can create war, never-ending war, so that our sons and daughters can go fight wars for bankers and for intel agencies, then I vote against it. I don't want it. I want a constitutional government where we don't have offensive wars, where we spy on our enemies, Isaiah, but not on ourselves. But we're the enemy now. That's why we're being spied on. You speaking out against the government have become the enemy.
That's the fact check! That's a fact check!
All right. Catherine Austin Fitz. My favorite is Catherine Austin Fitz. I love Whitney Webb as well, but Catherine Austin Fitz, I think, does the best job of it. She's explaining the surveillance state and what's going on right now in this country. Check it out. Clip number 18.
Say between the bailouts, the missing money, and the going direct reset, this is a group of people who've stolen $55 trillion, right?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, we've had a financial coup, and we're being told the country is dangerously in debt when our debt is $39 to $40 trillion, but they've stolen $55 trillion. So, I don't expect benevolent treatment by people who steal 100% of the assets and then throw you in a debt trap. And I would point out, we just saw legislation adopted in the NDAA to integrate the U.S. military with the Israeli military and to integrate, according to the Senate, the American Intelligence Agency with the Israeli Intelligence Agency. And Israel has been the leader of building information technology for the purpose of control and place-based control, spatial control, and financial control. And, we've done a lot on the Solari report about why we believe that Gaza is a method. But you're talking about taking the people who are the leaders in population control using very invasive technology for both control and war, and integrating them into your military in a way that destroys the sovereignty of your country.
That's good, Isaiah.
And we know around the world that
now, this is a Republican conservative who's in the first G.H.W. Bush administration explaining what I've been explaining. That's another thing I'm starting to notice, Isaiah. I've been at this for a long time. I'm hearing people parrot things that I recognized years ago, which is phenomenal to me. All of these people in the political sphere, influencers, politicians, both Democrats and Republicans, news outlets, they're all starting to talk about things that I was talking, just as somebody who has a nose for information, stuff that I was recognizing years and years ago. People are starting to talk about them. Wait till you start hearing about the Smith.
Like Dr. Malone. People talk about Dr. Malone now,
Right.
and they would never talk about him in 2020 or 2021.
6 years ago, right? You start hearing about the Smith Modernization Act, right? Because Thomas Massey, Mike Lee,
Oh yeah.
they spoke out and said we have to reverse the Smith Modernization Act. Do you think Donald Trump's taking that up? No.
Nope. Here we go. This is from earlier.
There it is. Right? So people understand what it is, but they ignore it. The media outlets ignore it. The people that are supposed to be giving you the news ignore it because they're not there to give you the news. They're there to put you on a path away from reality. That's what they're there for. They're to create the illusion for you. That's all they're there to do. That's what Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, all of them, that's what they're there to do, is to keep you fighting with your neighbor so you never pay attention to your government. That is their entire role in our society. And the sooner we recognize it, the better off we're going to be. I want to play this quickly as well. This is clip number 8. This guy's name is Philip Giraldi. This is years and years and years ago. Okay. That's why I say if you have a nose for news and you start, the great thing about the internet and social media is if you know search words and you know what you're looking for, you can find old clips, old information that might have sunk in the back of your head. And you're like, oh, I remember this guy talking about this. Let me see if I can go find it. Well, here is Philip. This guy's name is Philip Girardi. He's a part of the Intel community. Listen to what he says about Israel years and years and years and years ago. Check this out. Clip number 9.
CIA counterterrorism officer Philip Giraldi is on a mission. He says he wants to expose how costly and dangerous Israeli espionage is to the United States.
Israel steals technology, steals secrets from the United States.
Giraldi is the executive director of the Council for the National Interest Foundation, which just released a 12-page overview written by Giraldi called The Spy Who Loves Us. He says Israel conducts more espionage against America than any other U.S. ally.
It should almost be seen like an act of war.
Giraldi says Israel profits from selling U.S. technology.
It gets really serious when Israel uses these technologies and sells them to countries that are not friendly to the United States. I would cite the example of a Chinese jet, the J-10, which was built with a lot of technology that came originally from the United States.
Giraldi says Israeli spying has bankrupted some American companies.
I'll get phone calls from people actually who worked for companies that went out of business because Israel had stolen their technology and done that sort of thing, and the company goes bankrupt.
According to his report, virtually all U.S. government bodies, including the FBI and General Accountability Office, have confirmed that Israeli espionage takes place. And while collecting intelligence is part of the function of government, Israel crosses the line. Giraldi says the intensity and persistency of Israel's spying is particularly disturbing, considering how dependent Israel is on America's political and military support.
Well, it will only change when the politics change. And the politics have to change in a way that the United States, for one reason or another, begins to see Israel just like we see every other country, Italy, Germany, France, and treat them the same way. But as long as Israel has a special relationship, which is backed up by Congress and backed up by the media, it won't change.
Giraldi says Israeli lobbies have too much power in Washington. Giraldi has written about Israeli espionage for the American Conservative. He also has a regular column in the magazine called Deep Background. Rhonda Pence, Press TV, Washington.
Isn't that amazing, Isaiah?
Yeah, super interesting.
It's incredible that all this is happening. I mean, if we could just go through a checklist real fast. All right. And let's just go through the states. I know I say it all the time, but it's really important for me to have this understood. In the state of Missouri, there's a guy named Haruza, all right, a Republican in the state of Missouri, who just had legislation that every single Republican voted in favor of that basically squashed free speech in our schools. If you question anything about Israel, they're basically saying that's anti-Semitic. So you can't question anything. All right. That was passed by the Republicans in the state of Missouri. And is there a prominent Jewish Zionist that is involved in politics in the state of Missouri? All right. I won't mention the name, but does anybody know what I'm talking about? Of course there is. Of course there's a big Republican donor that is a Zionist. And now you see the legislation start to take place. Okay. It's just they're buying these people up. They fund their careers, and then those people go into office and they make legislation for the people that funded their careers. It's really that simple. And I know it. They know it. You know it. Why is nothing happening? Why do we have to watch this from afar and then try to pretend as though it's not happening? It's embarrassing as a citizen of Missouri. It's just embarrassing to watch these people at work and try to gaslight us and make it look like it's not when we know that it is. It's so frustrating. Okay.
I want to show a great example from today. We just signed. What did we just sign? What did Trump just sign, Rob, with Iran? A peace deal, right?
Another peace deal, which was ridiculous.
Yep. He signed a peace deal, and then 13 minutes ago, check it out. Israeli drone strike kills driver in Lebanon hours after the U.S.-Iran ceasefire deal.
Donald Trump is just lying, Isaiah. Let me run through this.
Yeah.
Let me run through this, and then I want to talk about that because what clip? I think I sent it to you. Did I not send that to you? It's the one. It's the Donald Trump telling you how many times the war's been over.
The wars? Yeah, I got it.
What number is that?
Let's see here. Let me pull it up.
Why do I not see it?
Let's see.
I have it. If you don't have
number
it.
15, Trump-Iran war montage. You want me to play it?
No, hang on. Let me finish this. I just want to lay this out for everybody so that they can see it clearly. So in Missouri, because you got to tie all of the politics together, you got to go local, state, federal, and international, and see how they tie together. If you don't see that, then you don't see the full picture. You're just seeing pieces of the puzzle. You don't see how it's all being consolidated. The power is just consolidated and it is moving in one direction. It's all Zionist ideology. It's so obvious to see. It's as obvious as they like to say, Isaiah, as the nose on your face. So the Republicans in the state of Missouri just passed legislation they think is wonderful. They all think it's wonderful because they don't want anybody in schools to speak out against anything that's anti-Israel. If you do, it's anti-Semitic and they will not allow it. Okay. Just passed the legislation. Republicans voted unanimously for it. Okay. They all love it. It's just so fun. It's just so wonderful, Isaiah. Dr. Bob Onder, who we had the conversation with, right, when we were down in DC, he put forth legislation that says you cannot do business with the state of Missouri unless you sign an affidavit that says you will not boycott Israel. Does that benefit the people of Missouri? Do you think the people of Missouri go, yeah, that's really great. I don't like what's going on with Israel. I don't like that they're creating genocide over the Palestinian territories. But it is what it is. I mean, I got to support Israel no matter what. I mean, they could destroy the planet and I still got to support Israel because that's what my Bible says. That's what they tell us, right? So they passed that legislation.
Are we going to do one for Canada and maybe the UK too?
Of course, we're going to do it for everybody, right? No, we won't. Of course, just Israel. Then you go to the federal level, and this is just within the last few weeks. Okay, just within the last few weeks, they're trying to put forth legislation that will combine our militaries and our military technology, right? And then you have the one that says that the executive branch. How does it actually go? I think it says the executive branch cannot not align with Israel and Mossad when it comes to intel. I believe that's what it says.
Section
right?
224, I think it's now 2219 now, I think is what it's called.
See what it is. I don't want to get that wrong.
Yeah, let me see. They just they rewrote it, I guess. So let me pull it up here. I just saw that they had renamed it. I'll pull it up here. You can keep talking. It's going to take a little bit.
Okay. Pull that up. I was sending an email as well.
Just multitasking here, everyone.
So that's what's going on. Is that enough Zionist ideology to make you just go, wait a minute, maybe Rob's right. Maybe we are kind of in line with Israel to a point where we basically merged our countries together.
Let me show this too while I'm waiting for this to pull up. I'm having
people not see it, Isaiah. Will you please explain to me how people don't see it?
So I was curious because when Press TV, why are they not still around? This is great news, right? Well, I guess it was an Iranian state-owned network. And because of that, the Department of Justice seized the network's .com domain, alleging that I guess there's no proof of this because it still says alleging. It was acting for affront as Iranian intelligence and spreading propaganda. But what, by this definition of what they're talking about, Smith Modernization Act allows the U.S. government to do this too. So who cares if Iran's doing it? Why do we care? I'm confused. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. But that's what the deal is, right? So when people speak out against Israel, right, or just the relationship between the United States and Israel, it's redirected into you're with Islamic terrorists, right?
Yes.
And Iran is the punching bag.
You
for
wanted Kamala
America.
to win, and you
Right.
love Muslim terrorists, and you must be supporting Hamas. You must love Hamas then, right?
It's really interesting because I don't know that we'll be able to get past that conditioning because for how many years now has it been that if you're from the Middle East and you're not in Israel that you're an enemy of America? How long has it been going on like that, Isaiah? I mean, is it 40, 50 years? That's been kind of beat into our heads that if you're in the Middle East and you're not Israel, that you're an enemy of America. Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon. I mean, go on and on and on. Egypt. Everybody's at war with us all of a sudden out of the blue since the inception of Israel. Everybody's against America since the inception of Israel. It's really, I don't know that we can get out of that box. I really don't. I don't know how we're going to convince people that they need to look at the world just through a different lens at some point, but it might be, the cat might be out of the bag. It might be too far gone. It really might be. You want to get to Trump?
Yeah, I'm just trying to send this link to Dr. Helen.
Yeah, and she said, this is, let me see. Let me give you this one too, in case that one doesn't work. I'll send you one here.
We were having many camera issues before the show, everyone, so we weren't able to get as organized as we usually do. Israel was interfering with our technology. I'm just
No, it was Iran.
Oh, Iran. Sorry, Iran.
It was Iran and Russia.
Russia.
Were the two.
And Russia.
Did you see that Candace Owens said she just went to Russia? Remember, Tucker? Because this is what they'll come out now, right? They'll say these are Russian propagandists. She said she went to Russia, and she said it's the exact opposite. She said if there's a country in decline, it ain't Russia. So she said, I encourage everybody to go to Russia and see it for yourself. I wonder what it would cost to go to Russia. You have any idea what it costs to fly into St. Petersburg or to Moscow? Do you have any sense of that? I'd be curious to find out.
I mean, it's probably, I would imagine it's $1,000, $2,000.
It's $1,000 to $1,500 to fly pretty much anywhere in the world, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, so
maybe it'd be lower because no one wants to go there.
Let's send you this and tell me. I'm going to send you this for Helen because I want to make sure we get Helen on today. She's had a little medical emergency in her office, so she's going to be a little bit late. I'm going to send this to you, Isaiah.
I do have to leave at 12. We have a full. We actually have a full. This is pretty blessed, gotta say, everyone, because there are some listeners who have become patients. We have a full. We are open from 9:30 until 6 p.m. tonight, Rob, with a small lunch break in the middle. Every single appointment slot is filled.
Really?
Every single one is filled today. Yes.
I was getting some.
That's a lot of appointments. Too.
I was getting a lot of good feedback from advertisers over the last week, and I was so bummed out because we had to take off last Thursday and Friday. Yeah. And I feel bad about that because
I'm sorry, guys. I was trying to get. I didn't.
I blame Isaiah.
I didn't have internet. I don't know why the hotel I went to, their internet required you to sign up for this rewards program, and I'm like, what? I've never had this before. This is crazy. I can't just get on your internet. I'm like, this is.
I blame Isaiah. I blame Isaiah. It's always Isaiah's fault. If anything goes wrong, it's Isaiah's fault because he runs the show right here. I'm charming, good looks, and Isaiah's eating potatoes.
Not according to John, right? John thinks I'm the better.
Does he?
I was joking with someone. I was like, I love John's comments because he always comes on and he says, he's like, says something positive about me, and then he calls you Mr. Three Putt, and it's so funny.
Oh, that's my buddy John. Yeah. He's the guy I beat at golf all the time, and he's still mad. That's the guy. Yeah. All right. So I think we got Dr. Helen squared away. I told her around 11:15 we'd try to get her hooked up. But I want to play that montage, and then we got to get into a couple more advertisements. So let's do the montage. I want to play this because Donald Trump, as you said, he says we made a peace deal. Now listen, you have to use your common sense. There is no possible way to understand who's running Iran right now if what they told us is true. If we really did kill 50 to 60 of their top leaders and we're just 3 months into it, how in the world could anybody take charge of that country? I just want you to think with your own common sense. How would that be possible if you wipe out an entire government and all of their leaders, and then from that point forward, you're making negotiations? How would you know who you're making negotiations with? If they took out all of Washington, D.C., and somebody said, okay, now we got to deal with the American government, and we're going to make a deal with them, who would they be making the deal with, in your opinion? Why? I mean, these are just common sense issues. How would you know that the person you're talking to really has control of the society when you've taken out their entire government and their military and their ability to communicate and everything else? Who would you be negotiating with? in your mind? How would you know that the person you're negotiating with really has the power to oversee what goes on within their country? You couldn't possibly. That's why Donald Trump says it's over, it's on, it's over, it's on, it's over, it's on. It's absurd and silly. Here is Donald Trump montage of telling us the war is over. Check it out.
Major points of agreement. They want to make a deal. And we are very willing to make a deal. Well, I think we're going to end it. I can't tell you for sure when they want to make a deal so badly. You have no idea how badly they want to make a deal. They want to make a deal so badly. I do see a deal in Iran. We were very close to a deal. I think it's close to over, yeah. I mean, I view it as very close to over. It's looking very good that we're going to make a deal with Iran, and it's going to be a good deal. This process should go very quickly. We're going to end that war very quickly. They want to make a deal so badly. We think we're close to a deal, and that's okay. We're in the final throes of what will be a very, very good deal.
Today makes 39 times that he has said something like that.
Oh, I know. From CNN. Yeah, another CIA agent.
That was a great cut to Anderson saying, and today makes 39.
You know, I used to think they were crazy when Donald Trump was running, when they said he lied. He's lied 7,975 times. No, he's lied 9,252 times. And they went on and on and on. Mm-hmm. I used to think that was crazy. But
well, that was my wife's biggest problem with him, even though we were supporting him and voted for him, is that he kind of lies, and what he says about women. She's a woman, so she didn't like that, and she would explain that to me, and I'm like, okay, hey, but we got to look past that and look for the future of the country, and blah blah blah, right?
I did not realize that when they were saying he was lying. I was so skeptical of corporate news when they said that about Donald Trump. I just didn't believe it. But now that I'm just trying to be objective and I'm not rooting necessarily for anybody, whether it be Democrat or Republican, Donald Trump or other, and I'm not rooting, but I'm actually checking the work of what he says. He does lie that often. It's pretty much every time he opens his mouth. And it's bizarre because that makes so many people mad. And I'm like, listen, I'm still wanting Donald Trump to be the good guy. I am. I'm looking for the diamond in the rough all the time, the silver lining, if you will. But he does lie routinely.
This is something that I appreciated, is that he's got a bunch of bankrupt businesses that didn't succeed, and he's still a billionaire. So I don't know how he did that, right? I don't know how he did that. It could have been through nefarious means.
It was.
But I don't know of many other businessmen who are able to do that.
How can you bankrupt a casino?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. It's like one of the most profitable.
To bankrupt a
it's
casino.
like that's the most. It's all profit. You know what I mean?
Profit. But again, he has the. It's.
I think he gets too big and expansive, just from an economics and business standpoint. My viewpoint of him, I think he's too big, too fast, and that happens to a lot of businesses. Like you get too big, too fast, and then you can't catch up with the money that you got from investors to try to grow it, and then your revenues aren't supporting the investment you owe, and you end up bankrupt. And so it's not always, but I just see that I've seen that happen in the tech industry specifically a lot.
Let's do ECS Carrington.
You want me to read? I wanted to read this for you really quickly. 224. Just a little Grok summary that I had to pull up for us. I'll share my screen here so everyone can see. So the key elements, because it's now instead of 224, they renumbered it to 219 now, just so we are all on the same page now, because they just renumbered it. But this is now the National Defense Authorization Act, Section 219. The key elements from the bill is what it says. This is Grok giving me this summary. It says this section draws from the earlier, I didn't even know about this, Rob, United States-Israel Futures Act that did not pass standalone, it says, thank God. And this are the key elements. It appoints a senior DOD, now the DOW, right, the Department of War, executive agent to oversee and accelerate U.S.-Israel defense tech ties. It covers joint research and development, testing, evaluation, integration, industrial co-production cooperation, joint ventures, licensing agreements, network and data integration, quote, data fusion, that's what that quote is in the section, and related activities. Focuses on priority areas such as counter-drone / UAS systems, missile air defense, anti-tunneling, AI and autonomous systems, directed energy, which we found out about the directed energy weapons, advanced sensing, cyber electronic warfare, biotechnology, biomanufacturing, medical defense, quantum-related tech, and other emerging warfighting technologies. It goes beyond traditional foreign military sales aid or grant-based support toward deeper integration of Israeli origin technology into U.S. research, procurement, manufacturing, and acquisition pipelines. Proponents frame it as a mutual investment for shared threats, Iran, drones, etc., not one-way aid. That's according to APAC.
Oh, there you go.
And so now we can see that instead of just giving money for them to do things on their own, now we're going to be funding it and sharing our secrets with them. Now, if I was president, right? I would say we would never do this, and instead we would just take all of Israel's information and give them nothing. That's what I would do, because they, just so everyone knows, they're very, very good at technology. They are 100%. They're very good at technology. They're very good at
print the money,
covert things. That's their specialty. They're better than that at us. They're better than that than we are, and so it is good to learn from them, but not in this.
Now we're sharing it.
Not in this aspect, because we're sharing our stuff and funding it.
A country that bombed a USS warship intentionally, according to the people that were there, was covered up by our government. We are now combining forces with a country that bombed an American warship. That's all you need to know.
What would we do? What would the American people think if we combined intelligence with Iran right now?
Right.
That's how you got to put it.
That's not the perception, Isaiah. You got to remember, we are anti-Semitic because we recognize that we just talked to 15 80-year-old men who said they watched as Israel bombed their ship intentionally. The witnesses that were there said it was intentional. And they are liars because Mark Levin and
Cam Higbee and
who's the other one? Who's the guy that I can't stand?
Dan Crenshaw.
Dan Crenshaw, all of these Zionists say that it's a lie. So therefore it must be a lie because
Randy Fine told us they would be. Randy Fine's first thing he said is they would be wrong.
They would be wrong. They would
be wrong. That's what he said. These are eyewitnesses. You know, my wife told me, just as an unbiased person who also, she's not in the news, but she relies on me to tell her a lot of stuff to stay in the know. I just lost my train of thought.
Don't worry, because check out my email that I sent you, because we're going to run out of time with Helen. Yeah, Randy Fine.
I already sent it. Yeah, I already sent off Helen.
The second one?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
We were talking about Randy Fine, though. We were talking about integrating the governments, Israel. We were talking about Iran. My wife told me something. Lost it. Okay. It'll come back.
The older you get, the more that's going to happen to you, Isaiah.
They fly away.
Yep.
And then they come back.
As Sherry, who works with us, she likes to say, Rob, the squirrels hit you hard today. Because I'll start the story and then finish it. Drives her crazy. All right. ECS Roofing. Let's do this. And then hopefully Dr. Helen will get our emails and we'll be off and running, because I really want to talk to her today. If you have somebody in your family with dementia, Alzheimer's, if you want pre-screenings for cancer, she has the most advanced screening to determine whether you're going to get cancer that is available on the market. And I just think that she takes care of the things that kill us, right? She looks at the things that actually kill people. That's where she specializes. And I hope that people will pay attention when she comes on, because if you are suffering, or somebody in your family is suffering from dementia, Alzheimer's, if you have cancer in your family, if you have heart attacks and strokes in your family, you don't want to miss what Helen Gelhard has to say. That I promise you. All right. Let's start with ECS Roofing, though. ECS Roofing. I talked to Larry for a long time yesterday. And this guy is just such a salt of the earth guy. These are the kind of people that we love to do business with. We want ECS Roofing to explode because they do business the right way. You can tell from talking to him. This guy does not like, he will not get over on you. He's going to be honest with you. He's going to tell you what's going on. He's just a really good dude, somebody that I'm rooting for heavily. ECS Roofing and Exteriors. We hooked him up with somebody to maybe develop a website for him. Right now, if you want to check out his work, it's ECS Roofing and Exteriors on Facebook. Again, they specialize in roofing. He's our contractor. Roofing, siding, decks, gutters, garage doors, custom exterior metal, residential or commercial, doesn't matter to him. New construction, storm damage, free licensed inspections. And the most important thing to him that I relate to you is that he is a licensed independent insurance adjuster. So when he comes and tells you that your roof will be covered by insurance, he means it. Everybody else that knocks on your door, they just tell you that because they want you in their system. They want to begin the conversation with you. They know you need a new roof. They don't think that insurance can cover it. They don't care. They just want you speaking to them. He'll tell you whether the insurance will cover your roof. Honest, been in business for 30 years, great guy. He sent me an email and he said, Rob, if you don't mind, just a thought. One other area in my business other than storms is retail and new construction. So if you are somebody that's in the family and you are involved in new construction, if you're property managers, if you're out there, give us a call. We want to make sure that we hook you up with ECS Roofing. You're going to benefit from it. I mean, he's going to do it at a better price. He's going to do the job better, and he's going to be honest with you, which is all we ask from contractors, because the biggest problem with contractors is people don't trust Isaiah because they've been screwed over once or twice, and they don't trust contractors. ECS is somebody you can trust. He says, I love the retail and new construction side of the business. We run on low overhead so we can pass the savings to our clients. Our price cannot be beat. Even with that, we offer a Class 3 shingle, ridge vent, and complete installation guarantee, 5-year workmanship warranty on top of a manufacturer's warranty. ECS Roofing and Exteriors. You can reach them at 314-486-3567. One more time. Get your pen out if you're ready. 314-486-3567. When it's time for a new roof, it is ECS Roofing and Exteriors. And then we'll have Ricky Babbitts on tomorrow. Boy, everybody likes Rick Babbitts. I got so much good feedback from Rick. We're going to talk about finances tomorrow. People are starting to panic. You know, there's people out there in the social media world that say we're just due for a crash. Stock market can't continue to go up and up and up and up and up.
Buy SpaceX.
Right, that? Buy SpaceX, exactly.
Buy SpaceX. That's a recommendation I got straight from the man himself.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll talk to Rick Babbitts tomorrow, but in the meantime, Carrington Financial, your caringadvisor.com. He's a financial planning expert. He's not cookie cutter. Most financial experts, when you call them, they have a system. It's all the same. You're going to get the same advice from everybody. Rick does it completely different. He wanted to make sure that I understood that. He said, Rob, I understand the politics. I understand the game. I've been at this for a long time. I have my own ideas on how to manage money. It's not like everybody else. So if you get a second, third, or fourth, or fifth opinion, get one from Rick Babbitts. That's all we ask. Get his opinion. Weigh it, think about it, talk about it with your wife or your husband, and think about what's going on here, because Rick Babbitts has done just a phenomenal job for me and my wife. That's why I'm so adamant that people get his advice. If it doesn't work for you, if you don't get that good feeling, fine. I think Rick Babbitts is a great guy. My daughter now works for him. That's how much we like Rick Babbitts. And she is one of the most honest people the world has ever known. My wife and daughter are just, they're hilarious. I always say,
we got to get a Rob Carter show account with him going so we can just pay the show from the returns.
No doubt, right? That's what I should do. Yeah, my wife and daughter are like this, Isaiah. They would come to a 4-way stop. If the world ended and they were the only people in the world and the light was red, they'd sit there forever. They'd never move because the light is red. They follow every rule. The complete opposite of me. That's why I said,
my
get
wife.
anything, right?
Yeah, that's my wife too.
They're rule followers, right? And
I'm a rule breaker.
I'm a little bit of a rule breaker. When the rule doesn't make sense, I don't follow it.
Yeah.
My wife and daughter are completely opposite. My youngest daughter now works for Rick Babbitts, and I got to tell you, she works for our accountant in town too. She's a full-time student and has 2 jobs, and she's a straight A student, and she's brilliant, and she now works for.
What are you doing with your life?
I'm a loser in comparison. right?
Yeah, seriously.
Rick
That's how I
Babbitts.
felt when you're reading all that, you know?
No doubt.
What am I doing with my life?
And my wife is the same way. They work. My wife and my youngest daughter, they work harder than any. All they do is work. I don't know how they can have any fun in life. They just, from the time they get up, they're never stop working. It's crazy.
That's what my wife would say about me, but I do it in a way where not that she doesn't enjoy it, but I feel like sometimes she stresses herself out a little bit more than I do.
Isaiah, we have an office, we come at the top of steps of our home, and there's an office there. And I'm telling you, when they're together, I come up, my wife is at her desk because she's still advancing her career. She's in front of the computer, and my daughter is on her computer doing homework, and they'll do it for 14 hours. They do it all day long. I'm like, I want to hang with you a little bit. Can we do something? No, I got to study. I'm like, okay, study away. Rick Babbitts, 314-671-0525. He is your financial planning expert, biblical principles with your money. Get his advice, 314-671-0525, or you can look him up at yourcaringadvisor.com.
One of the smartest guys I've ever talked to.
He is a very, very bright person. There is no doubt. Joneswater.com, joneswater.com. I think I'm going to be with Everett today or tomorrow. Again,
nice.
You cannot, as your friend, I say this to you, and I really want you to hear me out. if you are susceptible and you get ill, just little aches and pains in your body, or skin issues, or sinus, or asthma, or respiratory issues, you've got to have clean air and clean water in your home. I just recognized it recently when the last time I was in town, I stayed at a buddy's house who did not have an air filtration system. I got sick immediately. I was in for 2 days and I was sick. Sinuses were all messed up, and I made mention to that to to Everett. And he said, "Well, you know what I tell you. You know, I just tell you got to have clean air." And
What did
clean
you
water.
expect, Rob? Come on.
You cannot be drinking tap water in the year 2026. Understanding our government, what they put into the water, I just promise you, please do not be drinking tap water. Get a home air filtration and water filtration system from joneswater.com. They've been supporting me from the very beginning. Great guy, great family. We'll have him on the show here before too terribly long. You'll love him. You'll be the filter, or you'll buy the filter. Joneswater.com, joneswater.com. If you want to do business with Everett in Missouri, here are the counties that he deals with: St. Charles County, Lincoln, Franklin, Warren, St. Louis, and Jefferson. And if you go to Illinois, the east side, it is Madison, Monroe, Jersey, and St. Clair. Joneswater.com, 636-899-1040. You'll be the filter, or you'll buy the filter. Joneswater.com. I talked to him the other day, and he's having a nice run. He said business has been good for him. He was busy the last 2 days. It's like I said, I think the advertisers are doing well because and I think the community. I really do. There's nothing that I love it when I hear that. You know, my wife, I stress over whether my advertisers are doing well, because I want them to be rewarded for taking the risk to join in our game here. So I just really
seems like they are, from what we got.
Well, you're getting the benefit of it. So you're
we got
so
people asking. I mean, I just remember the other day people were asking how to get the air filtration system, and then someone was asking about a water purification system. And so, you know, you get the word out there, people are going to go.
Did we get Dr. Helen on yet?
Nope, not yet.
Wonder if
Sent
she's got
both
an
emails. I know you said
I bet
she
she's
has
got a medical immunity. Yeah, I think that's what's going on. All right, let's continue on with the show. Then we'll wait. If
I do have to leave at noon because
I was
of our
going to say, if
tech
Helen
schedule.
can't do it today, we'll just reschedule her. She's very busy, and it's tough to do it during the day with her. I might pre-record her, Isaiah.
Sure.
Maybe I'll do it that way, and we can just do it on her own time frame. So, Dr. Helen, if you're listening, we'll figure you out. We want you on because we think you are a benefit to everybody.
Before we keep going, did you want to promote the Act for Missouri thing?
Yeah,
that
let's
you had
put
sent
that up.
me?
You can put that up. So this is Wednesday, right? Wednesday. I think it's June 17th, right? It's Wednesday. Today's the 15th. Yeah, it's Wednesday. Don't mind popping it up. Let me walk through this. This is local politics.
It's tomorrow.
I think it's June 17th, right?
Oh, was this no, this isn't it.
No, that's not it.
Okay. That was a different thing then.
Is that tomorrow? Is that tomorrow I'm going to that? Is that the 16th? I didn't think that was it either. I apologize to everybody. We're a little
17th, yeah, 17th.
That's the one for Dr. Helen?
I believe so. Yeah, looks like it. At the police station.
Yeah, pop that
Okay.
one.
Okay, perfect. Let's get that here.
So I want to promote this. I'll go to it. Isaiah, you want to go with me?
We'll see. What's tomorrow? Tuesday night? We'll see.
No,
I
it's
don't know if I
Wednesday.
can.
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night?
Yeah, you got
We'll
nothing
see.
to do. You'll have a good time.
I should be able to if it's Wednesday then.
So it says Act for Missouri, our sister business here, our sister, I wouldn't even call it a business. What are we? Sister advocates for good governing. Act for Missouri, speaking at faith-based voters in St. Louis, June 17th, 7 p.m. It's at 11500 Gravois, St. Louis, Missouri. It's at the police station.
Mm-hmm.
Principle over party, accountability over spin, bringing truth to the table. I like that. Principle over party. That's a real problem in both of these parties. It's just they are so locked at the hip with these political parties that they will not speak out against them. They will not expose anything. It's like you get into a secret.
Rob, you think there's two parties? That's why you got that
I
problem.
don't know how you did it. How did you get elected? That's what I want to know, because you said right from the beginning, I'm going to do what's right for my constituents. I'm not going to get messed up in party politics.
Yeah.
And
I
you
mean,
did
I said things that are really actually need to be fixed here, you know? And I think that it's like the data center thing. I think that when people say economic development, and this is what the speaker who spoke on economic development at our conference said, you know, we think, oh, economic development, we just want any business. And she said, that is the wrong attitude to have. What do your constituents want? Do they really want a strip club? Right. You know, is that what they really want? And so she laid it out in a way, you know, they were always towing the line on data centers because they didn't, you know, it's a bunch of different people in the room, but you could tell they were of the ideology that, hey, data centers could be a good thing, but we don't know yet. There's a lot of questions, and really is the benefit going to outweigh what is harming the community? Is it what the constituents want? That's another thing. But then another speaker told Rob, this is something else. I'll have to find the notes. They said the people don't always know what's right.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was interesting to hear.
Well, I mean, we do have a representative government, but that doesn't mean when the whole of society says we disagree with you that you just overrun them.
That's my. I think that's what I think is different. I think that's the different thing, Rob, is that I truly believe a representative government doesn't mean that I know more than you. All these people know better than you. No, I think that everyone should have the information, and the constituents can help us make a decision. Right?
Exactly.
In fact, I had my opponent that I beat text me last night and asked me to do something, and I did it. She asked me to go look at something before the board meeting tonight, and I did it because she's my constituent.
Well, you care.
Yeah.
You want to be good at your job. You want to make sure that the community appreciates.
And this
what
is
you're
not
doing.
a woohoo go Isaiah fest. This is just
that's your nature. We talked about it before you got elected. You said, Rob, I just want to listen to what my constituents want and knock it out for them. That's what I'm after. So, and you're not trying to claim that you know more than everybody else, even though you might. That's not the claim that you're making.
I think I love when, and this is what I appreciate is when Tim Baker, right? I love when someone's willing to say, hey, I don't know everything and I can be wrong.
Yeah. And that was so funny about Tim. And I know that we're talking to people lifting around the country might not know what we're talking about, but Tim runs elections in Franklin County, and we're at odds with him on what the best way to run elections are. But he always communicates with us. He's been a gentleman to us. He has said, if you guys want an experiment, we'll show you the experiment. You want a test run, we'll show you a test. I'll do whatever I can to show you what we can do. And I just think he's a great gentleman. That's why we like him on the show. We don't have to agree with everybody. So long as you communicate with your constituents and explain to them what you're doing, then we're fine. That's all we're asking.
We want discourse, right? Discourse. That's all we want. We don't even have to have a debate, just dialogue. We want to talk about it. We want to discuss it. We want to learn from you too. We don't want you to just learn from us. We want to learn from other people. That's what Rob has figured out. Not just us, other people, but representing the Rob Carter show. I think we figured out just that fact.
We don't know everything.
We don't know everything, and we want to learn as much as we can to make the best.
Right. And I watch these podcasters that are doing really well, and they're incredibly talented. There's some really talented podcasters out there. I would put Candace and Tucker and Jimmy Dore. These are some of the people that I listen to, and I think they're incredibly talented with great shows, great production value. I think their narratives are really good. I think they explain them very well. They use humor. I think they do a lot of great things. We look at it just a little bit different. Our podcast is meant to be communal. We're not preaching to you. We want to talk with you. We want to figure out things on our own. We are advocates for what we believe in. Big difference. It's just, I don't know if it's entertaining to listen to, but it is much more communal than some of the big players that are out there in the game. And we'll be bigger at some point. Okay, so we're going to do audio. I'm going to call her Isaiah. If you could play this clip, because I want to get this in. It's very short. It's clip number 13. So I'll call Dr. Helen. We'll bring her on. And then I want you to do clip number 13 because we're going to talk about this tomorrow. This is another story that I talked about years ago, Isaiah. We're talking about when we entered, when the United States got involved with the Russia-Ukraine war. I talked about this story. The story that Tulsi Gabbard talks about right here that's making big news. I think it was Tucker Carlson just talked about this on his show. I talked about this at the time that it was happening. And here we are 6 years later, all the major podcasters are now bringing it to your attention. I don't know how that's possible, but Rob was on it, and I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you this was a story that was out there that nobody was covering. I did. I looked deep into it, and what she says is true. It's just that nobody's covered it until now. Tulsi Gabbard, clip number 13.
After months of searching through intelligence community holdings and files, today I'm releasing new evidence of long-standing U.S. government funding of more than 120 biolabs in over 30 countries. Now, these biolabs include labs in places like Ukraine, which could be at risk of compromise due to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. In fact, the intelligence community had previously warned that a U.S.-funded biolab in Ukraine likely housed dangerous pathogens and remained vulnerable to long-standing threats of Russian attack, seizure, or damage. Now, until now, evidence regarding the full existence and funding of these laboratories had been knowingly withheld from you, the American people. Many of these U.S. government-funded biolabs are currently or have previously engaged in research using hazardous and highly contagious pathogens, and in some cases included dangerous gain-of-function research with very little visibility or oversight. Now, President Trump clearly understands the serious threat dangerous gain-of-function research poses to the American people. And this is why he took decisive action over a year ago. On May 25th, 2025, he signed an executive order to end federal funding of gain-of-function research around the world. Here at ODNI, I issued new guidance to the intelligence community directing increased collection on these laboratories and facilities overseas. And we're already seeing the results of this increased collection. We're learning new details, for example, on clinical trials that are underway at these facilities and that are raising significant ethical, financial, and security concerns regarding the supposed public health initiatives and U.S. national security. Now, despite the obvious potential for catastrophic global impact that research on dangerous pathogens in biolabs can have, politicians and so-called health professionals like Dr. Fauci, as well as entities within the Biden administration's national security team, lied repeatedly to the American people about the existence of U.S.-funded and supported biolabs. Not only did they lie, they threatened those who attempted to expose the truth. So this release today breaks new ground, as the information surrounding the existence, history, locations, and funding of these U.S.-funded biolabs has been intentionally covered up by very powerful people who falsely claimed that these biolabs didn't exist. Now, they accuse anyone who says otherwise to be foreign assets and traitors to America. Now, ODNI will continue working closely with partners across the U.S. government to identify exactly where these labs are and what pathogens they contain to end dangerous gain-of-function research that threatens the health and well-being of the American people and people around the world.
I'll talk about that story tomorrow, Isaiah. I got a long background of that story. I exposed that story when it was happening between Marco Rubio and the State Department. It's just incredible what was going on. We were building bioweapons laboratories in Ukraine. That was one of the reasons that Russia attacked Ukraine, and we never heard about it. It's so bizarre. All right, I got to bring in Dr. Helen Gelhat. Dr. Helen Gelhat, advancedwellnessmed.com. If you want to reach out to Dr. Helen, 314-576-0094. Dr. Helen Gelhat, welcome. How are you?
Hello, Rob. Good morning. I'm well. Thank you.
Great to hear your voice. I love what you do. I tell the audience every day about your services. When I went and saw your office, one of the things that struck me was just how connected your office was. You know, how respectful they were to you, how respectful you were to everybody that was working with you. And I love the environment there. And then I started to pay attention to the things that you were saying. And I want to start with Alzheimer's and dementia. As I told you when I met you the first time, I have somebody in my life that was suffering from dementia at the time. And I thought, how different. And I only got to see this lady, 20 minutes every week. I didn't get to see her that much. She was my next door neighbor, and she'd come down and talk to us. And I thought, man, this would be very difficult on a family. And now I know a few more people in my life where they have relatives that are suffering from dementia. And I always thought that was the end of it. It was just a slow progression downhill. You're telling me that we can reverse symptoms. Can you just kind of explain how this works and what services you provide?
Well, sure, Rob. And everybody these days, it's an epidemic. Everyone has multiple people in their lives who have this devastating disease. And truly, it is the majority thinking, and even amongst most physicians still, that Alzheimer's is a death sentence. Doctors are still telling patients, get your affairs in order, find a nursing home, take these 2 pills that, by the way, won't change the course of anything. Or maybe get into a study, and a lot of the studies have very poor outcomes for people, especially those with dementia, with the LP(a), the ApoE4 rather gene. So it's problematic. It's a problematic situation. And medicine, I always say, medicine changes one funeral at a time. And we're not talking about patient funerals, we're talking about physician funerals, unfortunately, because we don't do turns in a teacup. Medicine is more like turning an aircraft carrier around, right?
Mm-hmm.
It changes slowly over many years. And people are still practicing medicine that we learned when I was in medical school, which is unfortunate.
It's very interesting how the whole medical industry works. So when you're treating and reversing symptoms of Alzheimer's and dementia, is that something that is like you're going to be working with that person almost like therapy? You're reworking their mind. You're putting uh, their practices that people can use to kind of reverse the symptoms. I mean, how does it all work? What kind of services do you provide that reverses the symptoms? How does it all go down?
Well, first of all, we test the patient to see exactly what their cognitive status is, because if we're not testing, we're guessing, right? And there actually is, and the first step towards, if anyone has a fear of Alzheimer's or dementia, is to get tested. It's a simple 10-minute in-office test to see what the decline is. There are universal tests that are used all over the world. There are multiple tests that a doctor can give a patient. We test everyone here over 40, and really it's gone down to over 35, because everyone over 35 is unbelievably suspect these days. It's incredible.
Do you think one of the reasons, doctor, is something in our environment? Do you think it's the way it's something we're eating, drinking? Do you think it's the addiction to tech? What do you think it is that is creating? Because when I was a kid, I did not recognize this like I do now. And you're right. If you look around, friends, family, somebody is suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's. What is the change? Do you have any sense of it?
Right. And it's not, the early stages of Alzheimer's, we call MCI, mild cognitive impairment, when they score a certain level lower than the top score on the test, okay? So even though it's like calling obese, instead we say overweight until your BMI is at a certain place, right? So it's all of the above. It is our environment. It is what we do. It is what we eat. It is what we drink and breathe, for certain. And there are a lot of toxins and poisons. There are a lot of infections, viruses. So it is multifactorial. Having dementia is typically like having a couple, 3 dozen or so holes in the roof, potentially that many, as far as being the causes. A lot of times the metabolic cause comes into play if we're insulin resistant. Again, the toxins, there's a cerebral vascular component a lot of times. And we can see some of these things because if someone does have a cognitive decline on the testing, which is the first step, we get blood work to see what the contributing causes are. It can certainly be nutritional or atrophic type, can be hormonal as well, especially with women. So there's more dementia amongst women than men, you may notice, because of that deep drop at menopause, right, of the estrogen. So inflammation is huge. But again, it's multifactorial. So it's a lot of things, Rob.
Is there if you're suffering from it, I would imagine it's hard to recognize that it's happening to you. Are there early indicators that you're starting to go through the process of Alzheimer's or dementia? Because I think that's what people want to know is, you get older, you always expect to lose a little bit on the fastball as you get a little bit older. I don't know if that's the way it should be, but that's the way most people perceive it to be. Are there indicators that say, hey, listen, I might be on first base as far as dementia or Alzheimer's, things that people can look for?
Well, sure. But that being said, we have to realize that we're horrible objective observers. In fact, we cannot be, right?
Right.
But those around us, and especially if we have a higher intelligence, we can cover up pretty good. And those people usually aren't detected for a very long time. And especially if they have, certain people around them and garner a certain amount of respect, right? And people would never expect them to be demented because they're so bright, right? Or they have some credentials behind their name.
Yeah.
True?
Well,
Right?
I have somebody in my life like that right now who I've known since I was a kid. Just a friend of the family who's I grew up. It's a friend of mine's mother. She's brilliant. The whole family's brilliant. and it's happening to her. And I thought about it the other day, and I thought, I got to get her in touch with Dr. Helen, because I had not recognized it, but I'm starting to see it now. And there are times when she's perfectly have the conversations like I did when I was
lucid. Yep.
12 years.
It can come and go. Come and go.
Yep.
And day and night, or certain days, or having a bad day, or dehydration can affect it. A little infection can affect it. So it just depends. But the biggest fight is getting that person to concede, and to maybe bringing a family member with them who can act as a shepherd. Because at some point, they become so unreliable that they may not show up for treatment or appointments and things like that. So we really try to get a shepherd involved from their end of it, and also from our end of it, to make sure we keep the ball moving. Because, Rob, it's a rapid, typically, network decline. It's like a network. Our brain is, what do we say about having 2,000 home computers online? It's our brain typically. But this is literally a network shutdown. So the synapses, and that's what we're talking about. So the early warning signs could be, problems naming, maybe problems organizing in their life. Things may start to get cluttered. We see the hoarder syndrome. That could be part of that. Not knowing how to organize our day or our life. That's a certain part of the brain that can be affected. Sometimes it's typically memory. Some people can balance a checkbook like no one else can. Or some people, that's all they lose, is they can't balance their checkbook at that point, and everything else is good. So it just depends on which part of their brain is affected. And we can see a lot of that on MRI. And once treated, you can also see improvements in the brain size and in the parts of the brain size, like the different areas, say the temporal, parietal, frontal. Okay, they can change in size for the better down the road after treatment.
Do most people, I'm just thinking if it were me, right? I'm a proud person. I think I'm the smartest guy in the world, but I think I'm a relatively bright guy. I would be very uncomfortable because, right now Isaiah could remember something. He's 34 years old and he goes, I lost my train of thought. That happens to me more now. And I always tell myself, 56 years old, I always tell myself it's my brain is overloaded. I got too much going on, and that creates a little scatterbrain in me. Is that relatively normal, or could that be a sign of something going wrong?
Again, we're just guessing if we're not testing. And it takes, and a lot of the people who come here don't have to be here. They can just go to their insurance guy and get it in and out, right? So a lot of people come here don't have to be here. They run their own businesses. They're the ship. They're the captain. And it takes some humility, though, to sit here. And every person who is successful in business knows, right? You surround yourself with people who are smarter than you.
Yep.
And those are the people who can humble themselves. So, and people are comfortable when they come here. They know what stays in this room stays in this room. If it happens, it's here, and it doesn't go anywhere else. So people have a lot on the line when they do come here, especially because they may, have some significant business concerns and whatever. And so it's a very private, personal thing. And there may or may not be anything to it at all. But again, the only way to know is to just get tested. It's a simple 10-minute test.
I got to ask you this too, on that same note, because one of the things that drew me to you when I met you the first time, and one of the things that attracted me to you, your practice, Paul, was that you were outside of the hospital administrations. My wife is a nurse. I watched what went down during COVID. I had no understanding of it until COVID. And then when I watched COVID and how her hospital was working, and I just lost a lot of confidence in the way insurance works, hospital administrations. And when you told me that you basically did not get involved with the hospital administrations because you believed you could give better care doing it your way. Can you kind of explain that to people so they understand the differences? Because I believe most people that are in need of care, you get a little bit older, you need care. We are so conditioned to believe that if we go to our doctor knows everything. And a lot of times our doctor, and I've experienced myself, Helen, so I know it to be true. And I think my wife knows it to be true as well. These doctors sometimes are working through insurance companies and through hospital administrations where they don't really give you the best care. They give you the best care that they can give you with the guardrails that are put on them. Do you see it that way as well?
Well, sure. There's no denying that. And so I've been on hospital staffs before, but I'm no longer. I got rid of that a few years ago. We just have different agendas. My agenda, I try to just keep it pure. I don't have any pressure to admit a certain number of patients for my practice, to fill any hospital beds, to do any amount of testing with any particular hospital at all. I don't have the pressure to refer to any doctor in any system. I go and pick the best of the best, what I see, whether they're near or far, to let the person know what's out there and what is available. So there is a little bit different difference and a little bit different of an agenda.
You're free?
I'm free. I really and truly, it's the sacred doctor-patient relationship, and that's the important thing.
I love it. I want to move over to cancer too, because I know you do cancer screenings, and you and I were talking about it. You said, Rob, it's the best cancer screening available on the market. What does it exactly do? Is it a pre-screening to see if you're susceptible for cancer? That's the way I understand it, but I want to get it directly from you. Is that what the screening does? Does it show you that you might be susceptible if it's in your family, that it might be coming down the pipe? How does it all work?
Oh, no, it's not. I mean, anybody might be susceptible, right?
Okay.
This is a definitive test. This can tell someone if they actually do have cancer cells in their body. And I'm not talking about the few little cancer cells that are made every day that are eliminated daily. I'm talking about before we ever have a tumor that is seen on a PET scan or a CT scan, right? Or an ultrasound, however we're taking a look, an MRI. Before a tumor is ever seen by visualizing it with medical imaging, there has to be a critical buildup, a critical mass of tumor cells, right? To clump on to one another to create that tumor. And a lot of times those cells may have to be even a half a centimeter large to be seen by that medical imaging, x-rays and all the rest that are even much finer in detailing. So before that time, we can actually take a blood sample and do what we call a blood biopsy. So it's just like a blood draw, it's a blood sample. And we send that off to Greece, and they can do a count the exact number of tumor cells per cc aliquot of blood. And then we can characterize that. Say the patient had cancer 20 years ago. They want to know, is it back? If they're a typical patient, they're just waiting maybe to have imaging every year or 5 years, right? And then when it comes back, we'll do something. Well, then it may be too late. We know that even before a tumor is ever seen on any of those imaging tests, say it's as big as a pinhead, it's not going to be seen, but it's already shed billions of cells into our blood and lymph system, spread throughout the body potentially. So this is very early detection of cancer.
I was told one time, I was listening to somebody talk about cancer. This might have been 20, 25 years ago. And a woman had been cured of cancer. I think she had stage 4 cancer. And when she was explaining to what happened, a wealthy woman, and she said she got a hold of, some people got a hold of her, and she went to this particular doctor out in California, and it cured her cancer. So she brought him on. It was a show. She brought him on the show. And he said that cancer is individual to the person. That's why it's so difficult to cure or to manage, is because all cancers are different to all people. And that is why it's not a one size fits all. Do you agree with that? Is it because a lot of people think you just be able to cure cancer, but it's so individualized what causes cancer and how you manage cancer within the individual that it's very difficult to just extinguish. Is that the way it really works? Because it always made an impression on me. I thought that it sounded true because he had cured the person that was interviewing him. But is that how you see it as well?
Well, there is a metabolic part which covers most all cancers, certainly solid tumors. But there's also a marker part where we can manipulate the tumors, and that's a lot of what we see when we send those cells off into the cell count. We also can see how aggressive the tumor cells are, how many hours a day the tumor is at rest and not multiplying. We can see different targets within the tumor cells that can be accessed. So again, there are a lot of variabilities. It isn't a silver bullet for everything, just like with dementia. There's no silver bullet. We don't just give one drug or do one thing for dementia. Cancer does have a lot of aspects to it. But a lot of times there is a big metabolic factor because tumors feed on sugar, right? Sugar and glutamine, actually. Go ahead.
I was going to say, because I got the sweet tooth, Helen, and my wife tells me I shouldn't eat so much sugar because I love chocolate and I love candy. Is that something, if you want to avoid cancer, that you should get rid of in your diet if you can, is to get rid of processed sugars?
100%.
So I got to get rid of this. I got to get rid of the sweet tooth. It would probably help my physique just a little bit as well. But I have a sweet tooth, and it's really around chocolate. I guess it's all bad if it's sugar, right?
Right. Well, no, because chocolate comes in multiple varieties. It comes in varieties that have a ton of sugar in it, and varieties that have minimal. You probably like the
I like dark chocolate. That's my favorite.
Right. But part of the complementary cancer care that we give certainly does include diet. Unlike a lot of times when patients go for chemo, and they'll oftentimes inquire to doctors about what should I eat. And oftentimes the doctors have been known to say, it doesn't matter what you eat, right? People may have heard that, but really that can't be further from the truth.
Seems like diet, everybody that I know I have a buddy of mine who played professional baseball for the Cardinals, and I stayed at his house last time I was in. I actually did my show from his home, and he's a workout fanatic. So he's up early in the morning, 20 miles on a bike every day. Then he goes to work out. Then he goes and does yoga. He works out for 6 hours a day before he starts his job. And he looks like a 19-year-old. He's 58 years old. And he said, and I said, I said, how do you have a body like that at 50 years? Because he looks like he's 19 years old. He's just ripped. And he said, it's all diet. He goes, once people understand that diet's the key to everything, then everything changes. He goes, because you can work out all day long. He goes, but if you're not eating right and you're not eating, and he eats turkey, sausage, and scrambled eggs for breakfast every day. And then chicken breast with vegetables and rice every afternoon, 5 days a week, eats the same food. And it just made an impression on me that it really is diet. Everybody says it's diet, but he said, Rob, he goes, I was in professional baseball. I know more about the body than most everybody because that's all we had to play 162 games a year out in the hot sun. We had to keep our bodies together. And he goes, we learned how to take care of our bodies. It is a lot about diet, isn't it? A diet might be the most important thing to keep yourself healthy.
Our diet is a big one. Diet and activity. And I mean, the truth is most of what's happened to us in our genes, we can overcome. That's truly only a small percentage, say even 30% or less of what our outcome's going to be as far as cancer, heart disease, all of it, dementia. Most of it is not genetics. Genetics are not our destiny. It helps us to know those things, to manipulate those and work around those to get things fixed, right, and optimized. But our genes are not our destiny, to be sure.
Really? See, that's another thing that I'm surprised at. My grandfather on my dad's side died of bone cancer, and my mother on my mom's side died of breast cancer. My mom died of lung cancer. And I've always worried about cancer. Cancer is just something that I think, you know what? Got a lot of people in my family that have died of cancer. This is something I need to worry about. And I think, relatively healthy, but it's always something that's bothered me that I had the genetic, what I thought was a genetic predisposition to cancer. You're saying it's not all about genetics.
Absolutely not.
That's good news for me.
Absolutely not. It is good news for you. So the idea is to see what is going on, though, before, if there is something brewing. So we do have the test that tells if there are active cancer cells and stem cells in our body and what mass they're at. and whether we're going to refer you to an oncologist and get imaging or not. But there's also a test if someone doesn't have any cancer cells, say they measure 0.0. There's also a test, like a pre-test before that, to see if, for example, Rob, all of your systems are go to create cancer cells, right? To allow cancer cells to come forward. So there's a pre-cancer test to see if you specifically are at high risk to have things happen to you, to turn on. So that's an answer to your earlier question is this test going to tell us if we might get cancer? No. It tells us if we actually do have cancer likely stirring somewhere in our bodies, and that's when we can get imaging, or we may be already presenting with symptoms, right?
Yep.
I have people who come with full-blown tumors, and we get a cancer blood test, a biopsy, and we see that indeed they do, before they knew they had a tumor. And we track it down, and indeed they do have a tumor.
Gotcha. Last question for you, because somebody in the audience says, is she a fan of thermography?
Well, interesting question. A lot of women don't like to have mammography because of the radiation. But, a lot of times that is the only FDA approved way to screen for breast cancer. People get ultrasounds, but some people get burned because that, as great as it is and used for a specific reason, it is not FDA approved for screening. Ultrasound is not. And neither is thermography. Although we do have thermography here, and we'll be presenting it to patients. It isn't, people just need to know it's not FDA approved. So oftentimes if there is some cause of concern for thermography, it can be looked at in other ways other than radiation as well. So that's what people are really concerned about.
Gotcha. Okay.
And there are also ways to skirt around that ionizing radiation prophylactically.
We should have you on and take some questions one of these days, Helen, because every time I talk about you to friends and family, they have a million questions. I'm like, I'm not suited to answer these questions. I got to get Helen to answer these questions because I don't know what I'm talking about. But we should do that one of these days where I'll set it up, we'll promote it, and people can ask you questions, because cancer, dementia, Alzheimer's, strokes, these are things that kill people. And as you get older, you start to worry about these things. I never worried about health, but now I'm starting to think about it a lot more than I used to, and I have a lot of questions. I'm sure the audience does as well. So maybe we should set that up. Love having you on. Love you having you being a part of the family. I love what you guys do down there. How do people reach you? Is it just advancedwellnessmed.com and then the phone numbers, or any other way to reach you, or anything else you want to get out today?
That's it. Just the website and the phone number. And we're very easy to reach, and we respond. And the ladies are happy to set a call. Calls our office manager. We'll be happy to set up an appointment.
And you have a
you
have a great staff too. AdvancedWellnessMed.com. AdvancedWellnessMed.com. If you want to reach Dr. Helen, 314-576-0094. You can check her out on her website too. AdvancedWellnessMed.com. Dr. Helen, love having you on. We'll do this more often, because I think this is important information for people. I know there's a ton of, every time I bring up your name and tell them you're part of what we're doing, people start to just bombard me with questions. Can you ask her this? I said, listen, I'm not calling Helen every day to ask her questions about your situation you got going on. You're gonna have to call her directly, or I'll bring her on the air. But I love what you do. I think you guys are great. I love your staff. I love everything that you're doing. We'll be in contact again soon. And I'll see you Wednesday, by the way. I'll be there.
Oh, you're going to be the one. Oh, that's amazing, because Rob, a lot of what the underlying causes are of all these diseases is stress and anxiety, and that plays into what we're doing on Wednesday, and people having certainly some semblance of control, right, of their own destiny.
Yes.
So that's wonderful. We'll look forward to it.
I'll see you on Wednesday.
Okay, take care. God bless. Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Dr. Helen Gelhart, there you go. We'll be there on Wednesday. Act for Missouri is putting it on. St. Louis at the police station. What's that address one more time, Isaiah? And then I'll get you out of here. I know you got to run. 11500 Gravois, St. Louis, Missouri. We've got the flyer out there. We'll put it out onto social media. If you want to join us, I'll be there. Act for Missouri will be there. It'll be a great night. Isaiah will be there. He doesn't know it yet, but Isaiah will be there because he's a trooper and he wants to show up with his wife and kids his two little babies at home on Wednesday. Last thing, if it's time to eat, it's always Moe's Pizza. They're not open on Mondays, though. It's funny. I got to do the promo for Moe's, and he's not open on Monday. The only day they're not open.
Right.
The other, he likes to take a little time off with his family, if that's okay. Moe's Pizza in Washington, Missouri. I like to plug them because I love Mike Johns. I love all of our advertisers. God owns the place. He just works there. If you want delicious pizza and you want a great family environment, it's always Moe's Pizza, a landmark in Washington, Missouri. Great pizza and salad bar, great sandwiches, great chicken wings, and the best ice cream. I don't know where they get their ice cream from, but I absolutely love it. Although I shouldn't be eating it anymore since I'm not eating sugar now. Isaiah, I got to lose some weight anyway. I mean, you saw that top button when we were in Washington. Every one of my friends is busting my chops about it, Isaiah. I mean,
fantastic.
There wasn't one person that missed that the button was a little tight on the top of the sport.
Someone said this fighting for its life.
It was fighting for its life. My friends do not miss an opportunity to give me trouble. Anyway, that's all we got for you today. Glad to be back. Glad to see your face again, Isaiah. We'll see everybody tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on the Rob Carter Show. Have a great night. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.
See you guys.